says AI isn't the only game in town for the markets. For some stocks and sectors to watch as we head into the last trading day of the quarter, we want to bring in Kevin Mott. He is the President and Chief Investment Officer at Hennion & Walsh Asset Management. Kevin, you're talking about technology, but not just the AI names that we've been focused on. Where do you kind of see this after effect? Is this the third derivative of AI, or is this completely separate?
Yeah, Becky, AI has certainly been the tail wagging the stock market dog thus far this year, and it is transformative in nature. And AI will provide investment opportunities for investors to consider for years to come. But there are also other transformative technologies that are out there. How about cybersecurity? We've seen an increase in the amount of AI-powered cyber attacks out there. So what do you need to thwart those AI-powered cyber attacks? Well, you need AI-generated cybersecurity. And a company like CrowdStrike provides the opportunities for such a thing with their cloud-based security platforms. I also think in terms of the AI race, a company like Microsoft may be the ultimate winner, although there'll be more than one winner. Microsoft, of course, with their strategic investment in the OpenAI AI platform, what they're doing with Copilot, the stock pays a dividend of just under 1%, and they have the staying power and they have the cash in their balance sheet to stay with AI and make more acquisitions in that area.
I mean, that says that you're not afraid of stocks that have had big run-ups. CrowdStrike's up 150% over the last year. Microsoft up more than 50%.
No, I would argue that there's reasons why those stocks have run up as much as they are. Of course, from a valuation standpoint, they are a little rich at these levels. But I could make a very good argument over the next 5 to 10 years that companies in the cybersecurity arena, like CrowdStrike, and companies devoted and committed to AI with strong balance sheets will provide even more upside potential. But of course, Becky, AI and technology isn't the only area that I believe that's going to lead markets and the economy higher moving forward.
Yeah, healthcare too. We've only got about a minute left, Kevin, but where are you seeing the places that you like within the healthcare sector?
Sure. Healthcare you can invest in 2 different ways, Becky. One is through large cap pharmaceutical companies, Secondly, through smaller cap biotech companies. There's a lot of fascination right now on weight loss drugs or obesity-related drugs. In the large cap arena, how about Eli Lilly with their Zepbound product, or even Mounjaro, which is a type 2 diabetes treatment that also has weight loss characteristics. And then in the small cap space, we like and we hold Rhythm Pharmaceutical, a $2.4 billion small cap biotech company that's developing treatments for rare disorders of obesity and other GI-related disorders. I think the pace of activity in M&A as it relates to large cap pharmaceuticals buying smaller cap biotech companies is only going to increase in 2024, and Rhythm Pharmaceuticals could be a likely candidate for that type of M&A activity.
Kevin, thank you. Have a great weekend.
My pleasure. You too, Becky.
One more reminder for you folks. Don't forget, tomorrow, markets are closed, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be action happening. Make sure you watch CNBC.com tomorrow morning. That's when we'll be getting that key inflation data for the Fed. It's the PCE, the personal consumption expenditures. That's probably the most important number the Fed is watching right now, and that could determine a lot about where things are headed. Morgan Brennan, Steve Leisman, and Rick Santelli will be online with that number, the news and the analysis. That starts at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow on Good Friday on CNBC.com. Well, here we go. Last day of the quarter, Joe.
You still have Easter egg hunts?
Oh, yeah. I bought the eggs yesterday.
So do we.
We're making more eggs today.
22 and 24.
Okay, you never get too old for this stuff. It's so much fun.
You're right.
Right. Happy Easter, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Make sure you join us next week. Right now, it's time for Squawk on the Street.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. David Faber has the morning off. Farewell Q1. It was good to know you. Very good, in fact. All-time closing highs. Best Q1 for the S&P since 2019. The 14th best, going all the way back to the 1920s. Busy day today with Fed speak, eco data, and some M&A. Our roadmap begins with stocks on track for a fifth straight monthly gain as we wrap up March and Q1. Home Depot announcing the biggest acquisition ever for them, buying building products distributor SRS, more than $18 billion, including debt. And the sentencing hearing for FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried due to get underway in New York City later on this hour. Let's begin with the markets, though, as we close out Q1. Jim, you've been talking about broadening, but yesterday was what an example of it.
Well, I mean, but I would say, the banks are great. The industrials are great. There's some healthcare like Merck that's phenomenal. An entertainment company like Disney, of course, we got a proxy fight there. American Express was amazing this quarter. So if you think about it, and Caterpillar, American Express, Caterpillar, Disney, these are remarkable companies to be winning right here at a time when JP Morgan, at a time when the Fed's tightening or not loosening, and Waller says, look, we got to take our time. So I think the Fed really misled you. There were two markets. There was the Fed, which took you off the track, and then there were the earnings. That's why I mentioned Peter Lynch last night, great investor at Magellan Fund. The earnings saved you. So if you watch the earnings, you did great. If you watch the Fed, you should just go do another job, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people who follow the Fed and they do it as a hobby, and it's great. Some get paid, but it hurts you. And I just don't. I want people at home to understand that in the end, if you followed the companies, you made a lot of money. And if you followed the Fed, you stayed out of the market. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is interesting this morning to see the futures at least sort of look past Waller last night. As he said, no rush to cut. Some of the price trends disappointing. Wants to see at least a couple of months of better data. Here's what Waller said.
In the absence of an unexpected and material deterioration in the real economy, I'm going to need to see at least a couple of months of better inflation data before I have enough confidence that beginning to cut rates will keep the economy on a path to 2% inflation.
And of course, we just got revisions to Q4 consumption, at least up 0.3.
Yeah, and tomorrow there'll be a Good Friday. We've got great reporting here, and it's going to be, those numbers will be hot, PCE. And all you need to do is just listen to Steve Squeri at American Express or listen to Gary Friedman at RH. Gary was so ecstatic. I sent him an email. I said, geez, Gary, I guess, happy days are here again. Because the cadence of homes, which are, by the way, the 30th, he said it's been 30 years since homes have been this bad. The cadence of his business went up dramatically. which is really good news.
RH is going to open up 10%. B of A today reiterates a buy, says they think demand could outpace revenue this year by 4 to 8 percentage points.
Gary bought back 30% of his company. Basically just said, you know what, Wall Street, the hell with you. I'm buying back stock. He's opening stores everywhere. They're not stores, I'm sorry. They're basically museums to furniture. I think he's an amazing merchant. And he's reinvented himself. He talks a lot about Picasso. You have to destroy yourself to reinvent. By the way, if you want a treat, just read his letters.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you really want a treat, look what he says to the analysts who don't really get it.
One of the best examples of earnings color that we get every quarter. Here's a quick listen to Friedman last night.
While we expect business conditions to remain challenging until interest rates ease and the housing market begins to rebound, we expect our demand trends to accelerate throughout 2024. Due to the extensive transformation of our assortment, we do expect revenue to lag demand during the year by approximately 4 to 8 points until we read and react to new collections, reduce back orders, and shorten special order lead times. Therefore, we will be guiding and reporting both demand and revenue growth each quarter during fiscal 2024 so shareholders and investors can accurately analyze the business.
Got the source book coming out soon. He has this rollout of Great Place. Just rolled out Cleveland. What he does is goes to every area that has wealthy people, and he puts his places in. At point blank, it is all wealthy people because the stuff is very expensive. But without, and this man has a vision. Paris, London. He wasn't that really happy with London, but they're doing this incredible place that's like, what was that, Bond House? Dark Fall, whatever. I mean, he's got this great place in the country, and I have to applaud him. Everyone wrote this company off a second time, and he has what people want who are wealthy, and he recognizes that there's a class of people everywhere around the globe that wants his stuff, and he's really the only one. So I think this is a great story, and I think it's been a while. Gary had been so downbeat on his last calls that I would send him an email saying, Gary, you got to cheer up. And then I would send him something that my wife had bought that just made the quarter for him. And now, I mean, he didn't need my wife to make the quarter.
You mentioned the enthusiasm out of our age. You talked about the multi-year highs in energy,
Yo, what's up, Flip?
Healthcare,
Good morning, brother.
But Jim, year-to-date total return NVIDIA is 80+%.
Well, I mean, that's disappointing because a week ago it was much better.
Yeah.
Look, I started recommending NVIDIA 3 here, and 3.5. And when it dropped to 3, I was widely pilloried. Of course, it was split. But there's no doubt about it that if you look at what Jensen's doing and you read between the lines about the Anthropic deal. Now, Anthropic, which Amazon had put that more money in, it was actually they had committed and put the money in.
Their biggest venture investment ever.
Right. Anthropic runs on NVIDIA, and they're the biggest customer. Amazon and Anthropic. So, I mean, when you look at NVIDIA, you say, what are they doing? Well, how about they're dominating in this space? And they're dominating with Google, Amazon, Oracle. Who else do you need? Microsoft. Everybody is in. They all run on NVIDIA. And if you think it's going to be a commodity.
Yo, what's up, Flip? Yeah, no worries, man. Well, good news with Sean. So we're going to be everybody's going to get everybody's going to get a payout for streaming. So there's going to be a minimum payout for streaming. So if you're streaming, you're going to get a payout. And he's trying to encourage you to continue to build up viewership. But I think the minimum you'll make is $100 a month for streaming. No matter how many viewers you get, and I think it starts to increase. Like I think it's 200 for 25 viewers or more, and then it jumps up after 50 viewerships or more. So some incentives to keep streaming, and then he's going to be having a commercial up in New York, April 13th. And if you want to come up, he's inviting you up to New York. He's not paying for anything. He's just like giving you access to this penthouse, this three-story penthouse. He's going to be doing some commercials out there. And then he asked us to be part of his boot camp. He's going to be doing a boot camp, like a month-long boot camp, and he wants you to like deliver some content on that boot camp. It's all optional, but if you want to get your viewership up, you want to get your name out there, then you can take advantage of that opportunity. And yeah, that was primarily what we talked about. You still with me, SD Flip? Cool. Yeah, let me know you can hear me, bro. But yeah, for sure, man. So that was the big announcement yesterday. Super cool. So I think there's 17 of us total, and he's gonna be paying out on that, and that's the minimum. So yeah, dude, it's encourage you to keep streaming and keep building up your viewership and that sort of thing. So it's all good, man. It's all good. You just gotta get out here and just stream, dude. Just get out here, be yourself, and just have fun with it. Cause that's really all. It's really what it's all about. It's just, not trying to be not trying to be somebody you're not, or trying to get all crazy out here. It's really about just being yourself, man, and putting your personality out there, adding some charts, giving some call outs, whatever it is. Just be yourself, and then I'm sure people will follow you. I think all of us, at least for me, I sometimes feel like, oh man, like you get this imposter syndrome thing, but to me, man, this is just really a show for me. I do this every morning regardless, so I just want to trade, play some music in the background, and stay patient with these trades. So yeah, man, it's all good, dude. Hit me up if you ever want to like chat or whatever. Just feel free to hit me up. No big deal. Yeah. Yeah, dude, and that's what I'm saying. Like me too. Like this is one of my smallest brokerage accounts that I have, and I put some money in it, and I just trade a couple times a week, and then I usually preach like the long term approach. But yeah, man, I would tell you, man, like don't feel pressured at all to like perform. You know what I mean? Like like performance anxiety. You know what I mean? It's really just about, sometimes I get busy too, man. I got kids and a wife and a business to run, so I get busy. So sometimes I'll just play music, leave my chart up, and do commentary based on what I'm seeing on the chart. But after that meeting yesterday with Sean, though, I really feel like I'm gonna invest a little bit more time to have a proper structure for my show, so then I can be entertaining. You know what I mean, and that sort of thing. So yeah, man, good luck, dude. Yeah, if you ever need anything, just hit me up. No big deal at all. For sure, man. Good luck, bro. All right, guys. It's 6:12 on the West Coast. I'm Shimano Trader. This is the spread. We're doing some pre-morning prep here on our charts, and trying out some new strategies as well. And then we'll be going over the keys of the trading day in a little bit to just go over some of the keys for today. I've got CNBC in the background as well with Jim Cramer, Fade Jim Cramer. Yeah, so that's going to be doing that in a little bit here. So stay tuned for that. And then yeah, market looks really good going in. The pre-market looks really good. Obviously, that's what I have on the chart here. Let me confirm that. Yeah, so I have that on the main chart here. And so overnight, we had that pop at the end of the day yesterday on SPY, and it would just been flat overnight. But futures look pretty good. Futures are up at least $1.50. The VIX is still down, and the S&P, obviously, everything popped yesterday at close. So we're kind of going into the day here with some momentum. So hopefully you guys stick around for that and see what we do at market open. We did have 0 DTEs yesterday. Those didn't cash. They were like $25, I think. But today we did close our Apple calls yesterday, so we made a little bit of money on that. And then this morning we're really still in our Reddit short, so I still have that up here. It's till the middle of April, but we do have a Reddit short going there. And then we're gonna see what the rest of the day has for us in regards to setups. Just looking around the market, things are just kind of like they popped late yesterday and they just kind of floated up overnight, but slightly. So anyway, 6:14 on the West Coast. I am Shimano Trader. This is the spread. Thanks for hanging with us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. And we're streaming on a Thursday just because we're not going to be streaming tomorrow because tomorrow's Good Friday. Happy Easter to everybody, to you and your families. But we are going to stream today. And honestly just try to stream more often. And even if it's not as, I mean, there'll be some days where I can get a little bit more active with my commentary, with my trading, but there'll be other days where I'll just kind of share the chart and just kind of share with you guys a little bit what's going on the CNBC or the Charles Schwab network, anything like that. And then I'll go ahead and share some of that with you guys. But definitely excited and motivated to continue streaming. Things are going well in regards to, doing the spread here on the Tradecaster airwaves. So we're going to continue to do that and try to continue to do more fun things here on the show and try to stream more often. And, I would, struggle to say 5 days a week, but if we can do 5 days a week, we'll do 5 days a week. But for sure, we'll be here Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, no doubt. And then we'll do some special, commentary, stuff like that, and just some special pop-ins on throughout the week. And get more fun with it, man. So all good. Hope y'all ready to make some money today. All right, let's do some pre-market prep here. So this is the SPY. Is usually the one I prep with the most. So what I've done here, obviously, if you don't know, the first time coming on here, I tend to document stuff on my charts just because I know people are watching it. So yesterday, we thought we had a bear flag building here, right? We had, I don't know if it's hard to see or not, but we had the pole, right? We have the pole, and then we started building this little bear flag, and then it broke the bear flag, but then right away it invalidated it, and then it started to see the buildup. So to me, this is the kind of stuff that I like to do, is to try to like back test what I thought was going to happen. So obviously here I had 0 DTEs 518. They did not play out. I saw the bear flag forming. I saw it break. But yesterday, I unfortunately, and I mean that tongue in cheek, unfortunately, I had to spend the day at Knott's Berry Farm yesterday. So I couldn't manage this trade. It was cheap enough. I did a poor job of managing risk, because our goal as traders should always be not to lose money. Like, don't lose money, period, right? And sometimes, especially on 0 DTEs, what we tend to do is say, oh, no big deal. It's just a $17 trade. Oh, breaking news. Hang on here.
This morning, Kate.
Hey, Carl. Good morning. Yeah, we saw Sam Bankman-Fried's parents.
Oh, this is for Sam
House
Bankman.
This morning, ahead of today's hearing, Bankman-Fried's crimes carry a max sentence of more than 100 years. The prosecution has recommended 40 to 50 years. As they put it, he understood the rules, but decided they did not apply to him. They say that sentence is sufficient and severe enough to provide justice and to dissuade others from committing similar crimes. Bankman-Fried's attorneys, meanwhile, have suggested 5 to 6 years. They say their client is on the autism spectrum. They describe him as a brilliant,
oh my God,
complex, sane person, not a villain. They also claim.
So Sam Bankman, they're going to sentence him today. That's wild stuff, man. All right. Anyway, like I was saying, back to the chart here. So I like to talk. So obviously this was negated, but this is the kind of stuff that I like to go back to and look at patterns. You guys know that I like to share this pattern sheet that I have here. Let me see if I still have it. Let me see if I can put it up real quick. Right, this thing right here. So unfortunately, I have to learn how to, put the mouse over that. But anyway, the point is that you have this pattern sheet, and I like to go back and try to identify that pattern and as it's playing out. So just trying to teach you guys here that trading is super hard. Okay, it's not easy, and it's simple, and it can be as complicated as you want to make it. But the bottom line is that usually the money is in the patience, and you have to have patience, and you have to be able to manage your risk properly. For sure, SD, man. Good talking to you, bro. Good luck with everything. I'll come check you out in a little bit. So anyway, so that's what I was saying here on this bear flags, right? So they got invalidated. So what did we do, right? Obviously, that was, if I would have been in front of my computer watching this chart play out, when I would have seen this candle here, I probably would have exited my shorts and probably even went long. But anyway, so that's what happened yesterday. So today, little something different that we're doing is I've gone to the option chain and looked at the range, the anticipated range for today. It's $1.84 up or down on SPY. So I'm trying something a little bit different here today. Just want to see what that range is. You know, this purple lines are going to be the daily range for me today. Obviously, you guys know this is the previous day low. Green is previous day high. So we're above the yesterday's high here on the pre-market. So that's the setup that we have going into the market here. And then we have a couple of other open positions in stocks that we're going to be watching. But not really sure what today's going to bring because it is a day before Good Friday. So yeah, that's our setup going in. Let's see. We got about 10 more minutes to the market opens. Let's go over the keys for the trading day by Verified Investing. Oh, I always get that wrong. All right, here you go, guys. Here's your keys to the trading day brought to you by Verified Investing. Final GDP reading comes in at 3.4% for the fourth quarter of 2023. Expectations were 3.2. So the final GDP reading comes in at 3.4% for the first quarter of 2023. The expectations was 3.2. And jobless claims come in at 210,000. Forecast was 212,000. Last week was 212. So virtually no change on the jobless claims front. And then your car is watching you. Reports emerged that everything you do in your car is recorded and the data is being sold to insurance companies to jack up premiums. This is General Motors, Ford, and Tesla. So, you know, if you got that song, sometimes you feel like somebody's watching you. Yeah, well, it is. It's your car. And then low income not going to fast food restaurants as much as prices have surged. Low income not going to fast food restaurants as much as prices have surged. So low income people, if I understand this, are not going to fast foods anymore because of the price surge. And then rebalancing and window dressing comes to a close as quarter ends. So yes, we are at the end of the quarter. We're end of the quarter, guys. Today is the last trading day of I was gonna say 2024. No, today's the last trading day of the quarter. Yeah, we're officially gonna end the first 90 days of the year. Can you believe that? Where are your New Year resolutions at anyway, right? Where you at? Oh, Taquito in the house. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to hear from you. Haven't seen you in a while. Anyway, good talking to you. I hope all is well with you. Good morning from the West Coast. Thanks for joining us today, even for a little bit. So we're getting ready to do the market open here. So those were your keys to the day today. The expectation is that the market is going to be slow. But again, we got, I think, CPI print on Friday, even though the market is going to be closed. So that was kind of weird. So yeah, man, stand by. Let's see what the trading day has for us. I got about 8 more minutes till the market opens. Good luck. Make sure you guys are not coming to the trade desk mad or upset. No revenge trading. Manage your risk. Pay attention. You don't have to trade every day. Remember that. Somebody has to tell us that. You don't have to trade every day. If you've had a good week, a good day, why do you need to trade, right? So I think it's one of the things we struggle with as traders is over trading. So one of the things that we want to do is definitely check out your trading log and keep a trading log. Yeah, well, Taquito, today, what we are doing is we're trying out. So we went to the option chain on the SPY and just we have a $1.84 anticipated range move today for the SPY, up or down. So I've charted that here on the SPY. So 525 to the high side, 521 to the low side, just to see if we could take some zero DTEs on it today. Not financial advice. Just watching, I'm in a Reddit short to the middle of April, long contract there. That's been going well. We were in Apple calls for the week. We already exited those yesterday, so I'm glad we did because it has pulled back. And just watching the market. That's pretty much it today. Listening to some tunes, watching the market, and sharing any breaking news with you guys. That's really the plan, Taquito. That is the plan. All right, guys, we got about 7 more minutes to the market opens. Let me know what you guys are trading today. What are you guys watching today? What about you, Taquito? Were you looking at anything today? or anybody else in here, you guys let us know what you where you from, where you calling us from, or where you're joining us from, and also if you have a play today, what are you looking at? All right, I'm gonna shut down the CNBC. Oh no, I'm not gonna shut it down. Oh, that's Jim Cramer. Sound. What do you like about sound? Oh, sound's been. I've heard about sound. I think we've talked about it. Oh man, look at that! Wow, big pop on it, huh? Looks interesting though, man. Got a little gap to fill here. You got filled this gap already. Got another gap up here. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Look at it's been dead until just recently, huh? Just February. Interesting. Well, good luck to you, sir. Good luck to you with it. We'll keep an eye on it too. See what's going on. Reddit. Look at that. Look at that top intel on Reddit, man. Oh yeah, man. Mara, Riot, right? All of those. Do you own any Bitcoin, Taquito? Are you holding any Bitcoin? Bitcoin's popping right now. 70,834. 3 minutes till market open, guys. Yeah, Bitcoin's 70,854 right now. It's got a little. It looks like it's building a little bit of a wedge, man. I think we're gonna have a pop on Bitcoin, man, for sure. That's got to be coming. Excellent, excellent. Well, at least you have a plan, man. A man with a plan, get out of his way. All right, traders, we've got just a few minutes before the market opens. What are you guys playing? What are you looking at? Are you not trading today? Are you trading today? Pfizer's had some good action. I don't know if anybody played the GameStop earnings. Got clapped. Was anybody playing the DJT? Good old DJT stock. Apple's look at Apple's pullback here, guys. Yikes. All right, guys, got about 3 more minutes. Apple's pulling back. Glad we exited those calls yesterday. Yeah, dude. Apple. I was treating Apple like I was treating Boeing, right? Like, but look at this pop yesterday, man. I mean, they had some really good action yesterday. It has this really. Oh wow. Look at Apple right now, guys. Whoa, what's going on? Look at your pullback on Apple. Any news on Apple here? No news. Xiaomi CEO is well prepared to support Apple users, so that's good news on China. Spotify is rocking hard right now. Tim Cook's. I don't know, man. I think I don't know if you know, they're going to be doing their press conference or I don't know, something. Apple's got some kind of event coming up, and they're going to be talking up AI a lot. So yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, Taquito. It's definitely a volatile stock right now. A lot of up and downs on it. But man, that's the best time to accumulate, right? When there's blood on the street. So look at Boeing. Boeing was just terrible until it had that news right here, right after John Calhoun came out. Look, it's just been from 173. Look at that. It went as high as damn near 197. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, that conference is the one where they're talking about they're gonna focus a lot on AI. All right, we got 1 more minute, guys. 1 more minute. We got 47 seconds. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, we got 30 seconds for the market open. Guys, good luck, guys and girls. Good luck today out in the stock market. Be safe. You don't have to trade every day. Do not forget that. Sometimes cash is king. Good luck, everybody. Got about 20 seconds for the market opens. Also, Home Depot's acquiring, I think, some building company for like 18 billion or some crazy like that. So check out HD, how that's going in a little bit. All right, but good luck to everybody, guys. Good luck today. And yeah, buena suerte. All right.
Fight.
All right, Reddit's continuing to drop here. It's already down another $3. Boeing pop, Apple pullback so far. Yeah, we're sitting on ADM calls too. Those look pretty good. All right, let's see. Let's put this. So we've got this range on SPY today. Purple lines. It's our range for today. And we're gonna see if we can play the range today on that. At least we have a little bit of something to look there. I look at Boeing with a pump out the door. Apple little pullback there. All right, let me stop this Jim Cramer thing here. I should at least pause it. Maybe if they got some news here, I'll share it with you guys a little later. All right, 52.47 S&P 500 futures are down $1.25. VIX flat. Going over here to the. All right, we got a little bit of a pullback here on SPY. Apple's dumping a bit, already down 1%. Man, good thing we closed those calls, man. Good thing we close those calls. You see, man. Sometimes taking profit is not a bad idea. Yeah, but we're taking a little bit of a hit here on our Apple position. We have some shares that we've purchased. A pop on Pfizer, AMD, a little bit of a candle on AMD as well. All right, Reddit's continuing to drop here. Apple's flushing as well. Yeah, we have a put contract on Reddit. This is where our put contract is at right now. So it's been working for us so far. So we're gonna keep it on watch here. Let's see if we get filled here. We're trying to take 522. There it is. So we're taking some puts here at the door, out the door. 522 puts for today. 0 DTE on SPY to see if we can just scalp up some real quick cash here. So 522 is the play. Not financial advice. You will lose money. Already taking a trade. Don't be like me. All right, so we're gonna take that play real quick. See how it goes. It's already down $2. I mean, we've been pretty flat overnight, so we'll see if we can get a little bit of a flush here, and then we'll take that. Still down. Plays down $3 already. Apple's flushing. Yikes. All right, we're in a 15-minute chart here. All right, we've recovered a little bit here on this play here. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a dump here. Apple's dumping hard. It gave everything up. Almost everything that it made yesterday, like it's giving it up. Target. A new high on Target. All right, so we're up $1.50 on this now. Damn, what happened to Apple? Yikes. We'll see if this bounce continues to flow lower here. All right, looking for a flush here on SPY. All right, starting to see a little bit of a candle here. Bigger candle. We're still down 50 cents on this play, though. Oh, we're up. All right. All right, we're up a little bit on this. See if we can get a little bit momentum to the downside. We don't need much. We don't need much. Trend lines. I love me some trend lines. All right, we'll see if this thing rolls over, guys. Look, Boeing, a little bit of a pullback as well. Apple's continuing to flush. Apple continuing to dump. Taquito called it. Taquito called it in the morning. He said it is a train wreck. A train of bad news, if I'm quoting them exactly. All right, we're making a little bit of money here now on the SPY drop here. See if we can break this line of support here. Apple's continuing to flush. Remember, it's the last trading day of the quarter. Trade carefully out there. Pfizer with a little bit of a pop. Lyft continue to pull back here. Oof. Taquito, man. How sound, Taquito? Was it? No, it's sound. I think he said S-O-U-N. S-O-U-N. Oh, look at that pop. He was expecting a bounce. All right, so far, so we're getting a little bit of a bounce here on SPY. All right, Boeing, little pullback on Boeing. Nice bounce on SPY. Now look at this candle on Apple. So far, Taquito, man, he called the bounce on sound and the flush on Apple. Oh, he just said Apple wasn't a good one. Stay away. Our little bounce here on SPY. Trying to stay under the 5-day EMA line here if we're going to stay short. So if we get above this 5-day MA line or bigger bounce, we're out of this. All right, so we're already down 11% on that trade, so we're down about $6. All right, red is continuing to, red is continuing to flush there. All right, good, man. We have a short here on Reddit. Let's see if that plays out. All right, starting to see more red across the market. Trade carefully out there, traders. Shorts, looks like shorts are the plays right now. AMD's got a little bit of a green candle. Pfizer's looking good as well. Little pop. It's been really active, waking up a lot. Tesla's down. Target's up. Lyft is down. Russell's topped out at 210.53. Little pullback there. All right, to see if we can break this support here on SPY. Start cashing in. We've recovered some of that. We've had a little bit of a drawdown on that trade. All right, look at this Reddit, man. It's looking really good. All right, SPY's bouncing here. Remember, we have a little bit of a range here we're trying to trade in, these purple lines. So a lot of buyers there, looks like, right? Big wick here to the bottom. Still above that 5-day EMA line, so real cautious there. We're still short. All right, starting to see green here on SPY. So it's recovered nicely off this sell-off here at open. So our drawdown has been up to $11.50 so far on this SPY put trade. Red is doing everything we wanted to do, so it's kind of topped out here at 74.90 and it's starting to pull back a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start to dump it because it's starting to get some downside pressure. All right, there's SPY starting to reverse here. Our exit will be this, the pre-market high will be our exit on that. So that should be our stop on this trade. All right, AMD with a nice candle. Target is up as well, and Tesla's down about 1.5%. Lot of indecision here of bears and bulls fighting it out here at this candle. Next candle should be in about 2 more minutes here on this SPY candle. But it does have some strength, right? Some bullish strength here. Sold off, and it everything got. It looks like it got bought back up. Damn, right, Amara, I bet, man. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin 70,931, 70931 on Bitcoin. Shout out to all my diamond hands. All right, Red is continuing to sell off here. Good to see. Right. Yeah, man, they going for it. Yeah, I used to trade Mara a lot, man, but Looking good. Looking good. They're making another run at 34. Making another run at 20 here with Riot. Wouldn't be bad, man, to jump on that. That's that, and you know, anybody who's watching this stream, that's what happens to traders, right? Look at the big candle now on Reddit. That you just want to jump on the next opportunity, right? And you just keep jumping to the next hot stock, and you know, it doesn't really give you an opportunity to learn to trade a particular way or a particular stock. You're kind of just always running around. Wow, big sell-off here on Reddit. We have a short on that that's playing out so far. So you know, let's see what happens, man. See if they flush it all the way to the bottom. That'd be great. SPY holding here. 1 more minute to the candle. Next candle. There it is. All right, there's your next candle. What we'll call a 2-up on the strat. So we're about to get stopped out of this most likely here. So we'll see. Apple still flushing here. 170 strong support on Apple. A good place to consider adding, or just a good level of support. All right, starting to see SPY here. Still bouncing off the 5-day EMA line. What we had at open? 1.7 million shares at open. First 15 minutes. Yeah, it's gonna continue to push higher here. Going to the top, going for the top of the range, the daily range. Starting to even see Apple bouncing a bit here. All right. We're about to have that break there at that level. AMD with a nice candle right now. AMD looking real good right now. All right, it's starting to happen here. All right, we're gonna exit our position here. So taking a loss here on a 0 DTE, down $17 on it. Yeah, it didn't play out, right? So we wanted to take the short there, didn't play out, so no big deal. We exit our position and learn from that mistake, right? It's okay to be wrong. So what would you normally do here as a revenge trader? You'd be like, oh, it's time to go long, right? So maybe going long for the top of the range wouldn't be a bad idea. Right, it's a nice breakout to the top here, and now we're breaking the pre-market high as well. That pre-market high, we're breaking it. So ever since this bear flag got negated yesterday, we've just been pumping higher. So there's our wick to the upside, right? We've already got stopped out, so we're out of this position. Now we have the wicking at the top, and they're starting to see a little bit of a pullback, right? So I exited my position because we broke the top of the pre-market, and I do want it to continue taking a loss, so I exited my position. So now we're starting to see this candle pull back a little bit. And we're either going to say, shoot, I should have stayed in my trade, right? We're either going to say that, or we're going to be happy that we got out of that trade. So this is now closed. It did not play out in our favor here. But I think one of the most important things we can do as traders is learn how to be good losers. Or like just be a good loser, meaning that if you're wrong, just accept that you're wrong. Even if you have a hunch that is going in the wrong direction, just get out of the trade, because it'll teach you to not be so emotional. Like, I'm down. Like I lost $19 in that trade, right? But that could turn into it was a $50 trade, so I preserved $30 on it. Let's just say, right? So I can trade again, right? I still have money to trade. But if you stay in it, like we would have stayed in this trade here, we'd be getting back some of our money. But well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, just make the decision based on what you're seeing and don't second guess yourself, even if you're wrong, right? I mean, look what happened to me with Apple yesterday. I closed out. I had a 172 call for Apple, and it got up to about 173, and I exited my position, and I still watched it go all the way up to about 173.60 and some change. And I was like, oh man, I should have probably just hung on to it till today. And look, I'm glad I didn't, because it flushed right at the open, right? So that contract would have been expired worthless today, and it was worth more than $50. Yo, shout out to Taquito. You should always be happy to get out of a losing trade. Exactly, man. So I think that's one of the most important things we can learn as traders, is to just learn to be a good loser. Meaning, if you're wrong often and there's small losses, it's better than only being wrong a couple times, but then they're major losses, right? So that is key, man. That is definitely a key piece of advice for all of us, to ensure that we are good losers. That is super important. All right, so let's see Boeing here. So our SPY trade didn't work out. We're out of that. I think we can probably do about one more trade today. I do have some things to do here in the afternoon, so I don't want to get caught up in the same situation as yesterday, which was placing a trade and then trying to manage it from my phone. So we're trying to look for A+ setups only to jump into another trade. Because right now my feeling is like I need to jump into another trade right away. And that's not the right mentality, the right mindset there. A little bounce on Apple. AMD looking good right now. Got about 8 more minutes till we get our next SPY candle. All right, we're going to take a Boeing short here real quick. See how that works out for us. All right, so we're going to take this Boeing. Everything's 0 DTE today just because it's the end of the quarter. So let's play with this one real quick. All right, so we're going to take 0 DTE here on Boeing 190 puts. We'll see if those print a little bit here. It'll be our last trade for today. All right, so let's watch it together here. See what happens. This, if you guys are wondering why I'm placing this trade, is like this is bar here. Did I name this? So it's been a great level of resistance for this trade, for this stock here. So it's already filled that gap. I think it's even a gap at some point here. Yeah, it's a gap here. So we have that gap, and it served as resistance all the way here. See, so it's been a resistance. It broke up here and it came right back down. So it's being rejected at this level. So the play here is that it's going to continue to get rejected down, or at least closer to the 190. So we're gonna ride this baby and see how it goes. So you're trading it with me. Caution, be careful there. So we're below the 5-day EMA line here. See if we can get some momentum to the downside on Boeing. It feels like it's due, right? It feels like it's due. This also looks like a little bit of a cup and handle too. So careful there if you're short as well with me. Look at our SPY, right? Second guessing ourselves there. A nice recovery here on Apple. Hit that 170 level, man. Target pulled back. Tesla, a little bit, still down 1.5%, 1.56 exactly. AMD's looking good here. So look at Boeing here, starting to recover a bit here. Might even go green. We'll see. Yeah, might even go green now. So Apple looked like it's recovering a bit here, still down over 1%. Yeah, look, SPY came back down. Crazy. Play a lotto today. Watch the dump. Even Reddit's found like a little bit of a bottom here too, like it recovered. Oh, look at that! Almost like a great, like an upside down doji here on SPY. All right, still early, guys. Market's only been open for literally 30 minutes. How emotionally invested are we already? All right, look at the reversal here on SPY. Those 522s. All right, we got about 2 more minutes to the next candle here. Look at that, guys. Look at the SPY. Pierced it here, stopped us out, and now it's reversing. Right? Story of our lives. And that's why patience is such an important skill set in trading, right? It's like it's having the patience to I think the best time to exercise patience in trading is before you make the trade, right? If you're exercising patience within the trade, it's a little bit more difficult to manage because you are invested in the trade. But if you just wait around, right, like just you're waiting around for, I'll get a little bit of a flush here on SPY. When you're just waiting, or if you wait around for the right setup, then the pressure is less when you're in the trade because you waited for the proper time to enter a trade. I feel like maybe on Boeing, I'm a little bit of revenge trading because I took a loss here on SPY. So I might have seen an opportunity on BA or on Boeing that probably wasn't there, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Right now it's down, and it's not showing signs of it going down either. So let's see how it plays out here. But look at SPY here. Nice little flush here, and then like here's your next candle, and your next candle is looking bullish. All right, starting to see a little bit more here of upward momentum here on SPY. All right, there's your breakthrough on SPY, right? You guys are living the emotions with me, right? We're like regretting getting out of our put to now glad we got out of our put. Hey, man, that's life of a trader for you, man. No doubt. All right, should push through on SPY. Wow, look at that green candle, baby. Calls were the play. All right, traders, 7 a.m. on the West Coast. I am Shimano Trader. This is The Spread. We are a live trading show, usually Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but we are adding a couple of more days to the mix here to stay, just stream a little bit more often. But please subscribe to the show and stay connected with us. You can follow me on Instagram at Shimano Trader. Just trying to build that social handle up. So any support there, I appreciate it. Shout outs to all of you for being here and trying to learn. And, once I'm off air, make sure you guys hang out. If you guys got time, hang out with other people in our lobby here. We've got a lot of great traders on the platform, a lot of things to learn and, have fun with and hang out. So, thanks for supporting the stream. And thanks for supporting Tradecaster. And we have a bunch of cool stuff lined up for you guys. We're going to be doing additional boot camps. We're going to be doing a commercial. There's a lot of fun things planned on the Tradecaster platform. So we appreciate you being here with us today and hanging out with me for a little bit. And hopefully you guys hang out the rest of the day and check out some of the other excellent traders we have here on the platform. But thanks for hanging out with us today. You are a rock star. All right. Looks like SPY's going to continue higher here. Looking really good at that level there. Our AMD's looking really good right now. AMD's continuing higher, up 1.26% for the day. All right, a little bit of a pullback here on Boeing. We'd love to see that. We are short on it today. All right, I'd like to see this here on Boeing. That looks really good. So we got a flush today on that. Hut. Woo! Is that Pizza Hut? No. What's Hut? Hut 8 Corp reported revenue of $60.6 million for the 6 months ended December, up 32% year over year. Yo, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nice call out there, Mr. Tokido. Oh, yeah, man. Look at that. Looking good there, buddy. All right, Boeing starting to see a little bit of flush on Boeing, guys. That's good. We needed to go down.
Do it.
We needed to go down.
Do it.
All right, look at that. It's got some room to go, man. Mr. Hut. That's pumping through, man. Hut. Shout out to Huts. $2.5 million shares there. Yo, look, Hut looks. Look at Apple continuing to flush here. Little bit of wicking happening at this pre-market high, guys. So might be a lot of might be an area of liquidation there. Yeah, it looks great, man. Reddit's gotten a little bit of a bounce here. AMD continuing higher. Maybe chips are doing really good today. Yeah, ADM looks really good right now. Tesla pulling back. Target pullback too. DJT stock kind of flat today. Well, not exactly, 2.5%. Yo, GameStop continuing to fall, man. I don't know if anybody played GameStop. Yeah, starting to see like we're topping out a little bit here. A little bit of wicking across the board here. Yeah, man, look at these wicks here. It's kind of been a hard time getting through the pre-market high. All right, look at this. Starting to see a little bit of a selling off happening here. Remember, it is the last day of the quarter, so there's a lot of fuckery going on, and by that I mean people flushing, getting out of positions, positioning themselves for the next quarter. Just be careful out there. Yeah, Apple Taquito called it out, man. He said, be careful with Apple. Stay away from Apple. It's probably not a bad idea. All right, here goes. Look at Boeing, guys. Boeing's looking really good here. Nice big candle. We like to see that. All right, Boeing's starting to get some momentum to the downside.
Do it.
All right, we got a little bit of our drawdown back. Not by much though, but it is coming back a bit. Oh, I like these wicks on SPY, man. I would take a 520 here. Yeah, look at this, man. We're looking good for a flush here. Maybe. 190. Oh, look at this dump on Apple, guys. All right, I'm gonna gamble. I'm gonna gamble on SPY here. We're going to take the 519 puts on it. It's a big gamble. Big way down all the way to the bottom, but we're going to play it. It's a lotto play. It's $6. See if we can turn it into something. It's not even on the chart. Look at that. It's way down there. We'd have to flush way down there. We'll see. Add some excitement for a Thursday. All right, we're going to play around with that one, see what happens. We're still in our Boeing puts too. Let's see if we can get a flush here. Looks like we're really kind of top heavy, so we're going to just play it. It's already up 150, so starting to see some red here, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Starting to see Reddit lose some support here as well. This is the last stop here for Reddit. Even AMD's pulled back a bit too. Tesla continuing lower. Looks like everything's starting to pull back a bit, guys. At least the charts that I'm looking at, I've seen a lot of red across the market here. Let's go. All right, we'll see if we can get the support here. This red candles continue to get a bigger candle on the SPY. Reddit's continuing lower. As you guys know, we have a 418 put for 35 on Reddit. See if we can work our way down. It's already making money. We're just trying to see if we can get a little bit more of that. All right, don't forget to subscribe to the show, guys. Please subscribe to the show. Support us streamers and the other great and awesome streamers we have here on the platform on Tradecaster. Glad you guys are here. All right, starting to see a lot of wicking here on SPY, right? So we're sitting on some lotto plays here. We did have 0 DTE 522. We got clapped on those, but now we've got some lotto plays here at 519 sitting for the end of the day. We'll see if we get anywhere near that. It would have to exceed the bottom of the range. So our purple lines here are the range for today. 525 to the high side, 521 to the downside. That is the range based on the option chain. But a lot would have to go right here. But we're just trying to add some excitement to the day. If you break this 5-day EMA line here, I'll be a lot more encouraged. Again, we don't need the entire move. We just need enough of the move with enough time. Look at Apple starting to sell off here too. So we should see if the market gets dragged down. Or not. All right, traders, where you guys at? What are you playing? What are you looking at? Did I make the right play? Did I not make the right play? We shall see. Yeah, this is looking like we're going to roll over. Look at all these wicks here, liquidation areas. See if we get some downside, some real downside momentum. Happy Thursday. What are your Easter plans? Let's go. Vamonos. All right, come on, baby. Let's go SPY. We need this rollover, baby. Need this rollover. All right, starting to see it, baby. We're starting to see the little rollover here. What do we see? Man, we break the support, man. I think we shall flush. We'll see though. Other than that, guys, thanks for being here. Let's go. AMD with a little pop. AMD with a little bit of a pop. GameStop. I don't know if you guys played that for the earnings. If you did, you got clapped. Unless you were short, then you didn't get clapped. Tesla bouncing back a little bit too. Looks a little weak. Looks a little weak. A little weak sauce. All right, here we go, baby. Let's get this flush. We're going to sell off for the end of the quarter. I got to put these M&Ms away, man. No, I was not having M&Ms for breakfast. I just had them on my desk, and they were like calling me. They were like, hey, you want to eat me? Hey, you know you want some almond M&Ms? Come on. But I fought hard. And by fighting hard, I did not consume the almond M&Ms for breakfast. Yo, I was at Knott's Berry Farm yesterday, man. That was fun time. It was fun time with the family. I got on this ride. It's called the Silver Bullet. Oh my God. Not a spring chicken anymore, guys. What's up, man? We're just kind of going sideways. Let's see if anybody talking over here. Hey, they're gonna sentence Friedman today. from that crypto banking thing. Did you guys know that? Boeing. Boeing looks a little hard here. Looks a little got some strength there. May have to exit that. Probably gave ourselves more time. Maybe it would have worked out. All right, come on, baby. Come on, SPY. All right, I'm gonna lower this down and see if we have anything on NBC here you guys want to listen to.
Really hinged on the argument that there were no losses and that customers, in the end, regardless of what happened, will get their money back, which is because of what's going on with the bankruptcy proceedings in Delaware. That team has been able to recoup a lot of those losses. The judge in this case saying that's irrelevant, that it doesn't matter, but that is what the defense is looking for, a wide gap between what the prosecution has recommended, which is 40 to 50 years.
Damn, 50
I'm wondering
years?
what the comps
That's
are
crazy,
here.
man.
So Bernie Madoff got what, 150?
150,
Other
yeah.
white-collar criminal
Yes.
Elizabeth Holmes had 11? That's a big gap.
Yep, Bernie Ebbers from WorldCom was 25. So I'm told by some experts that the floor is sort of 11 because of Elizabeth Holmes. That's what some people, at least the rationale is. The consensus from legal experts I'm talking to, including Mark Litt, who was the prosecutor in Bernie Madoff's case, he said between 25 and 35 is what he predicts. Again, it is up to the judge's discretion.
Do you guys
He
believe that,
can
dude?
look at the sentencing
50
guidelines, but in
years?
the end, it is Judge Kaplan who's going to make that call. Experts, though, say 25 to 35 is reasonable based on how young Sam Bankman-Fried is, because Madoff, when he was sentenced, that 150 years was more symbolic than anything. There is a thought that was under 30 when he committed these crimes. He's got a long life ahead of him.
All right, starting to
And
see
if he's
SPY
gonna
roll
spend
over here.
the rest
We
of
would
it in
lose the
jail is
support.
still up for debate. But that's one thing that's being taken into consideration based on what I'm hearing from experts.
AMD's looking
Got
good.
it. Well, we'll turn to you as soon as you know anything. Kate, thank you. Kate Rooney outside the sentencing courthouse with the S&P 500, the only one of the big ones higher right now. We're up for the week. Again, last day of the quarter, up 10% for the quarter. NASDAQ capping off a more than 9% gain for the quarter and year to date. We're all over the market coverage when we come right back on Squawk on the Street.
All right, we're gonna close this Boeing short. It's not working out. There's no point in just staring at it. So we're gonna close that out too. So we're 0 for 2 today, man. Look at that. Closed out. Yeah, it's not gonna play out. So we're still gonna keep our short here for SPY. We are on a short. That's a real lotto play. 519 to the short side. Doubt it'll hit, but it's $7. So don't listen to me. Okay, we're watching the SPY break here. See if we can watch the SPY break here, and we're gonna continue to listen to CNBC and watch SPY here. See if we can get a rollover on SPY. We're actually up on that play, believe it or not, on the SPY for 519. It's actually up $1.50. We still have our Reddit short. We have our long-term short till April 18th. We want to see if we can get close to 35. It's actually done really well since we've taken that short. It's been down a lot. Reddit's sold off a lot. All right, so our only play today, it is SPY. We still have that one running. See if we can get a little bit more of a flush and break the pre-market low here. If we can break that pre-market low, we should have some momentum to the downside. So, yeah, man. Other than that, thanks for joining us today. There you go. Listen to some tunes, do some trading, get ready for work. I don't know if you're going to work or not. I really don't know. All right, futures look a little topping out. S&P 5249. Whoop, whoop. AMD looking pretty strong, but everything looks kind of slow. GameStop continues to sell off. Hopefully, you guys are not hanging on to that. Lyft sold off a bit too. Lyft has been on a bit of a sell-off there since last Friday. Russell pulled back a bit. Let's go, baby. Flush, flush, flush. Let me see if I have do I have a flush? I do have a flush button. Cool.
of income.
Tesla, the biggest laggard on the S&P this quarter, as you may know. 4 firms take down their estimates for the name today. RBC, Morgan Stanley cut their Q1 delivery forecast. Wedbush and Deutsche take down their price targets. Lowe's here at Post 9 looking at the road ahead. A white-knuckle period, Dave
I found
says, for
a
Tesla.
trash.
It will be.
What is
And
it?
these are not going to be good numbers.
I found
when we
a
get the delivery
trash,
numbers next
a
week,
toilet
nor
flush
when we get the
sound.
Q1 results.
All right, guys, I'll be back.
Especially
Follow me on
when you look
Instagram,
at
@Shimano Trader.
This is,
Thanks for hanging with me
without a doubt,
today.
the worst quarter
I gotta
that
run the
Tesla
restroom real quick.
Shares have seen since the fourth quarter of 2022, down 26, 27% for the first quarter. 3 things are pressuring Tesla shares right now. First of all, you've got a slower delivery pace. Are deliveries growing year over year? Probably. They delivered 422,000 last year. Some are saying it could be as low as 425,000 for the first quarter. Again, we'll find out next week. There is pricing pressure. We've talked about this for some time, especially in China. The competition in China is brutal, and that is having a huge impact on Tesla. And that's the reason the shares are under pressure right now. That competition, by the way, will be increasing with Xiaomi, the handset maker. They unveiled, now they did this a couple of months ago, the SU7. Now they are launching it. People can start to order this. It's going to come in, roughly speaking, about $40,000. And this is just another example. That market, A, the number of offerings has increased dramatically, and B, the competitors are coming in at much lower price points. And so Tesla has had to respond.
On the price cuts, Phil, I mean, obviously there's been outright cuts. There's also these incentives that maybe are temporary and roll off. Talk to me about the other way around of looking at it. Are they still seen as the premium EV maker in the US, or are they losing a little bit of that gloss as well?
They are still king of the hill, and they will be king of the hill for some time. But their market share, and we'll find out what it is next week, it was about 55% in the fourth quarter of last year. Does it drop below 50% for the first time? Basically, that's a reflection of so many more EVs that are out in the market. You're naturally going to lose market share. So that's expected, that they continue to lose the market share, but they are still king of the hill within the world of electric vehicles.
But the competition issue, that's abroad, right? Not necessarily like that. They're fighting the Chinese automakers in Europe. They're fighting the Chinese automakers in China.
And
Yes.
the European automakers.
And the European automakers, yes.
Have caught up.
Right. This is probably the best market for them. The U.S., it's the most protected market for them.
So what are the China numbers going to look like?
Well, they don't break them up by region when it comes to deliveries. But you can start to piece everything together, and you can tell that the delivery growth is slowing there. And the economy there has been under pressure. And let's be honest, Chinese automakers get assistance from the Chinese government, which makes it much more difficult for Tesla to continue to grow there.
Meanwhile, Goldman's got this sort of 30,000-foot view piece today where they say their bear scenario of negative year-on-year delivery growth is looking more likely. How important would that be?
More symbolic than anything else. That's psychological, that people would say, oh, okay, deliveries dropped year over year. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. And so I think that's more psychological at this point. And so I think people have, they to a certain extent, not accepted it, but it will get lots of headlines if it does happen next
And then
week.
this is a win for hybrids? At least Goldman argues that.
That's not slowing down anytime soon. We will continue to see hybrids grow. Now, their market share is going to be about 9-10%. We are a world where people are saying, eventually I want to go electric, but I'm not ready. Let me take that first step with a hybrid.
You've got a busy day, but it's good to have you on set.
Good to be here.
Phil LeBeau. When we come back, former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, as you know, set to find out how long he'll spend behind bars for one of the biggest frauds in history, what investors need to know, and what comes next after the break.
50% off.
Welcome back. I'm Silvana Henao with your CNBC News Update. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he has no plans to attack any NATO countries or Poland, but did warn Russian forces would shoot down any F-16s in Ukraine supplied by the West. He made the comments as he met with military pilots today. Ukraine has requested the fighter planes for months. Several countries have pledged to supply them, and others say they will help to train Ukrainian pilots to fly the jets. The census is getting its first big change in nearly 30 years. There will now be just one question for race and ethnicity, and people will be able to check as many as apply to their identity. People of Middle Eastern or North African descent will also get their own checkbox under the new race and ethnicity standards adopted by the Biden administration. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams launched a new permitting system to test autonomous cars. There are some conditions. Companies need prior experience testing in urban environments to get approval, and there must be a safety driver in the cars at all times, Sarah.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I hope so too.
Thank you. Silvana, thank you. Let's get a check on crypto as we get set to wrap up the first quarter. And boy, what a quarter it's been. Bitcoin prices up 65% since the start of the year, holding on above $71,000 a coin. The crypto getting a boost in part from Bitcoin ETF approvals, which began trading earlier this year. As institutions jump into the space, overall net inflows have totaled around $11.3 billion since their January 11th launches. And it's not just Bitcoin, it's Ethereum up more than 50%. Solana has had a major comeback. It's been really strong across the board, and surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, what a story for the quarter as well. Meantime, Sam Bankman-Fried's sentencing hearing underway right now in federal court in New York City. FTX's founder and former CEO was convicted on 7 counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to launder money and faces 50 years in prison. But if the judge in his case imposes the toughest penalty allowed, the 32-year-old Bankman-Fried would face more than 100 years behind bars. Headlines out in the last few minutes. The judge in the hearing calling the defense argument misleading, logically flawed, and speculative, and said that Bankman-Fried perjured himself. Joining us this morning from our D.C. bureau, former SEC prosecutor Jacob Frenkel. Jacob, it's great to see you again. Good morning.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you. Yeah, a lot of things that the judge has to consider, the perjury element, the deterrence element. You think it's going to be something more like 30?
I think we're looking at least 30 years. For the judge to come out as he did, basically opening saying perjury, the jury came back in hours. I mean, the defense argument not being taken as credible, I think it clearly portends, in my mind, a 30-plus year sentence. The other thing we have to keep in mind is this is a criminal case, so there are 2 components. One is punitive, punishing Sam Bankman-Fried for what he did. The other is deterrence, and that is there is a crypto-enamored generation that is paying close attention to what this judge does, and he really is going to want to send a message as well, which is there will be a long sentence if you commit fraud, regardless of what is the type of currency or what is the security.
So on that note, compare and contrast for us the scale of his crime and punishment versus Bernie Madoff. Is there an element, as you kind of alluded to there, that they want to make a bit of an example out of him?
It's a great question, but I really don't see Madoff and Bankman-Fried as comparable because I really viewed Madoff as the ultimate Ponzi scheme. Here you're talking about, as the government characterized it, this was a fraud. Basically he took money, used it for himself, used it for other purposes, and lied to investors about it. I think it's really more, in some respects, a generational prosecution, and that's why I think the judge is also very much going to have in mind the level of attention that's going to be paid to a sentence. There's no way he's going to impose a sentence of 100 years or something outlandish as was imposed on Bernie Madoff, as we talked about here many years ago. But I do think it's going to be substantial because of the scrutiny and the attention this decision is going to get. But at the same time, it's going to come down well below the federal sentencing guidelines because the judge also knows he needs to build the perfect record for the appeal because the sentence, as well as the verdict, will be appealed.
what about the defense argument that the FTX victims did not suffer major losses? Is that likely to work? Is that
What's up,
true?
traders? We back. Sorry, I had to
think
step
it-
away for a little bit.
I think a speculative argument.
I don't know what you guys are doing. What are you guys
is
watching?
not going to
We are
impact
our
the
spies
judge's
are we've
decision
done 3 trades today. They've all been
whatsoever with respect
losers.
to
So
sentencing.
that's been our
my
results
prediction.
today.
The other thing is it's not
We're
as
still
if
short here on
Sam
SPY. We're just lotto
Bankman-Fried
plays, but I
actually
doubt we'll even
provided
get close to that
restitution.
bottom here.
You know,
Apple selling off pretty hard though.
We're talking about what
We did
may happen
reduce our
as a
shares
result of
on
the
that
bankruptcy.
earlier
The
today.
judge is going to look at the conduct at the time. for
AMD
which he
pumping
was
hard, guys.
prosecuted.
AMD is
So I
really
don't
good
think
right
that
now.
defense
GameStop
argument
continuing
will hold
lower.
water with this judge.
How about characterizing the performance of the prosecution and the defense? Jacob, did the defense ever have a shot?
Well, whatever shot they had, they lost when Sam Bankman-Fried took the stand. Because as we heard already from the judge, that the judge's view and clearly in the view of the jury, he perjured himself. So usually that is make or break. That's the ultimate desperation move. The government, in my opinion, did exactly what it needed to do in trying this case. Not let itself go down the rabbit hole of crypto issues, crypto complexity. Instead, focused on follow the
Target
money,
looks
take
good
the
right now
money.
too, guys.
It was stolen. These were lies, and that's what the case was about. And as quickly as the
Russell.
jury returned the verdict,
Russell's
in
good
this
too.
Case, that's exactly how the jury perceived it. I think the government did a great job trying the case.
Russell
I think
looks
the
good.
defense did
Russell
the
looks
best job
good.
with what it had, which was very little.
Check,
The
check.
government clearly gets high marks in this prosecution.
So on that note, Jacob, I'm interested. I mean, clearly, as you
All right,
said, it
Apple selling
wasn't
off here,
as,
breaking that 170
planned,
support right now.
through, drawn out a Ponzi scheme as with Bernie Madoff, and you're just saying there that the prosecutors didn't have that much evidence. So to link it back to Sarah's question, the rebound we've seen in crypto prices.
Where's Bitcoin?
Only
Anybody know where Bitcoin's at?
temporarily, that's a big,
Yo,
that's a
Bitcoin about to
big,
break that
if,
falling
of
wedge.
course.
71,455, 71,455 about to break out.
As much as they did for the multiple months, but not years that they did.
Well, that's a great question, but I do think the judge is very much going to view his conduct as very much premeditated, and we have to look at it as to what happened at the time. Clearly, there are
Oil
probably
breaking
many
out too,
fraud
82.34.
cases that have never
Where's
been
Dixie?
investigated or brought.
Where's the good old
merely
Dixie?
Because investors have been
Dollar's
made
kind of
whole
flat.
during the perpetration of
10 year.
fraud. That's not what
10 year
happened
kind of
here.
flat
We
too.
have to look at it
Like
as
your
a
ex.
snapshot in time, which is what happened then, what were in these circumstances. And in some respects, I think the market and the public is fortunate because I think there's a lot of manipulation that's going on, in the crypto market. We've seen a lot of crypto cases from the SEC. We've seen other crypto cases from the Department of Justice. And I think the fact that there is such a high-profile case serves a critical deterrent messaging purpose.
All right, Apple continuing to just dump there.
And the fact is,
AMD looks really good right now, guys. AMD looks solid, up $3, 1.69%.
them during the sentencing hearing, and certainly they've submitted their positions to the judge as well for his consideration in sentencing.
Jacob, of course, crypto's a global business, and victims of fraud are all over the planet. Are you seeing any alignment in the way prosecutors address elements of fraud in countries everywhere?
That's really hard to tell. I think prosecutors in other
All right, Target looking really good, guys, breaking out.
to what happened in the Bankman-Fried case as a template for how best to prosecute, or at least investigate and prosecute for presentation, crypto-related fraud cases. Because I do think that if you are in a jurisdiction that allows for a jury, and keep in mind in a lot of countries, there is no jury system at all. So you're talking about presentation of the facts to a judge, to a magistrate, who's going to make the ultimate determination. But I think the fundamental
All right, Reddit
message
continuing lower. Yeah, Apple's
here
clapped today, down
is if they could
1.48%.
present the case without getting into the minutia and detail of how crypto works. So that, as I mentioned before, going down what I call the crypto rabbit hole, that's going to be the template for investigations.
Man, my nose gets itchy, man. I don't even know what it is. We're just getting older. I got nose in my hairs. Nose in my hairs? Hairs in my nose.
Sentencing is the mental health issue. The fact that his lawyers say he's been diagnosed with autism.
Oh, man. Russell pumping, guys. 211.
Presented as a depraved superhuman and has a condition that has near complete absence
Look at
of
Apple breaking
enjoyment,
this level of
motivation,
support here
and
at
interest.
170.
In
Last
reality,
level of support is 170. Exactly. Psychological number 170.
I think the only thing it will,
Puts may be in play for
I think
Apple.
we will hear the judge acknowledge it because
S&P 52, 51.95. Futures up 250.
what I call the 100-year guideline range. Ultimately, I don't think it's really going to impact the judge's decision. Where it may make a difference is if the judge makes a incarceration recommendation. In other words, what federal
Rich people
facility
problems, right?
At which
They don't even
Sam
go to jail.
Bankman-Fried will be housed to serve his term of imprisonment. But ultimately, I don't think where you have such a premeditated fraud that if the judge is going to give it any weight.
Jake,
Whatever,
just thinking
bro.
of
What
all
do you
the
know?
cases you've helped us understand better over the years. This one's no different. Good to see you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Target's a good play today.
Of course, for more
Target's
coverage of
pumping.
Today's trial and your daily crypto coverage, be sure to head to cnbc.com/cryptoworld.
Has been a silver lining for the victims that the crypto rise that we've seen is going to help them recover either partially, according to bankruptcy lawyers, or fully their losses. Still ahead, honing in on housing, a major shift taking place that you need to know about. We'll give you the pulse of the property market as we head into the all-important spring selling season. Don't go anywhere.
All right, we got commercials now. Yo, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel here on Tradecaster. I am Shimano Trader. This is The Spread. We are a live trading show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time. We are starting to add a couple of more days to stream to help support our Tradecaster channel here. So make sure you guys subscribe and tap in. We get to do a lot of cool things here, trying to keep it entertaining and educational, trying to do some giveaways as well. So we will be giving away a book here in the next couple of weeks. So thanks for joining us today. Make sure you just subscribe, and we'll let you know when we go on air. AMD looking really good, up 1.83%, $3.31 dollars for the day. Looking to have a good up move there. ADM. We are in ADM calls for middle of April. Those were lotto plays. I don't know if they're gonna work out or not. Reddit continuing lower here. Reddit's been a good one. And then we have SPY lottos, but they're not gonna hit. This is gonna go sideways all day, most likely. I'm gonna eat that premium up. Yeah, I think by lunchtime, East Coast, everything will die. Everything will die, meaning that there won't be any action, I doubt. It is the last day of the quarter, though. The last trading day of March. We are 90 days into the year, more or less. Where are you with your New Year resolutions? Where are you with your goals? Where are you with your plans for the rest of the year? Oh, look, I could SPY here. SPY's gonna most likely go higher here. It's about to break the pre-market high. See, it keeps getting rejected at that level, but it's due. It's due. Reddit continuing lower here. Good to see that. We are sitting on puts for Reddit. All the hype behind that stock. Yeah, but that's kind of what we're doing today, guys. While we're hanging out with, we're watching those two plays. Working on some bids for work or for, let's see how that goes. See, we get rejected here at the pre-market high and flush down. We're waiting for that flush to happen, but it hasn't happened. It doesn't look like it's going to. We'll see, though. And then Apple's having a bad day. We were in calls yesterday. Good thing we closed out of them. We were a little regretful yesterday that we got out of them, but actually look at it today. So you got to stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. And then we have CNBC in the background here. They're on commercial, though. When they come back on, you'll hear them out. But other than that, guys, we're just staying patient. Last trading day of the quarter. Last trading day of March. Thanks for being part of the show today. Oh, they're back.
Welcome back. Elevated mortgage rates and rising prices making renting officially cheaper than owning a home in all 50 of America's biggest metro areas. That's
crazy, bro. Cheaper to rent.
Joining us to discuss the health of the housing market heading into spring selling is Housing Wire analyst Logan Mohtashami. Great to see you, Logan. Thanks so much for joining us. Why don't we hit that headline first? So how rare is it to see renting cheaper in all 50 biggest metro areas? Does that happen quite often, or is it a real standout moment?
No, but when you have, accelerated home price growth and also mortgage rates shooting from 3 to 7 to 8%, it's not shocking. It's actually shocking it didn't happen earlier for the housing market. But again, affordability has been the issue for some time now. But even with all that, we're still going to probably range about near 5 million total home sales this year.
And let's go into the sales market then. What are the latest moving factors? Are we seeing supply pick up a little bit?
I think the best news for 2024, which wasn't the case last year, is new listings data is growing year over year. It's not a lot, but it's growing. Active inventory is growing year over year. We're far from anywhere normal, but this is a positive. Supply is a function of demand in housing. We get more people listing their homes, especially as long as the economy is still creating jobs. That'll be a net positive for demand. If mortgage rates can fall back down to just even the low sixes, you could grow sales just a little bit. Again, we're working from the lowest levels of sales ever recorded in history. Don't compare this to 2008. We have a lot more people now and demographics are much better.
I was going to ask you what the magic number is on rates to really stimulate this market. Gary Friedman of the RH CEO last night on the call talked about how there's so much pent-up demand and people have just been hanging on, waiting for mortgage rates to drop. He said one Fed cut isn't going to do it. So what is?
If you're looking for real strong growth, you're probably going to need rates to range from 4.75 to about 5.875. But from here, just from these depressed levels, what we've seen in the end of 2022 and the end of 2023 is that just that first move lower in rates can bounce sales. That's all we have right now is the bouncing in sales. However, this year, unlike last year, new listings data is growing. These people feel more comfortable putting their homes onto the market. As long as rates don't spike up again, there's no reason inventory should not grow this year on the new listing side and the active inventory side.
Logan, great stuff as always. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
After the break, positioning your portfolio for the second quarter. And still ahead, former Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer talking her new AI startup and what comes next for names like Google in the AI arms race. That's all ahead on Money Movers. Don't go anywhere.
Morning, dude.
Quick reminder as we close out this hour, tomorrow watch CNBC.com for the key data of the day. Of course, that is PCE, personal consumption expenditures, a key measure of inflation. We'll be online with full coverage beginning at 8:15 a.m. Eastern. Morgan Brennan, Steve Leisman, Rick Santelli will be online with the number, the news, and the analysis. Again, 8:15 tomorrow on CNBC.com.
It is the last trading day of the month and the first quarter. So how should you be positioning your portfolio for Q2? Our next guest says to bet on energy and healthcare here and to avoid industrials. Trivariate Research founder and CEO Adam Parker joins us now. Why are you telling people to avoid industrials? It's been a good performer. The economy looks to be on solid footing. Fiscal stimulus is flowing into the industrial sector. Why don't you like it?
I mean, look, you know I've been very bullish on U.S. equities, and when you have to have relative recommendations, what you're saying is, where do I think the estimates are more achievable or not? And, you know, I'm recommending software, AI semis, energy, metals, select healthcare. So, you know, there's lots of stuff to own. I think the industrials, part of the industrials, have high inventory, high valuation, and high expectations. So if they do miss, if you do get any signs of a slowdown, there you could have that double whammy of a lower multiple on lower estimates. So I'm not like outright bearish, but I think that doesn't screen as well to me as other parts of the markets there.
But what about semiconductors? You think that at 41% as a subsector, the best S&P 500 subsector to date, you don't think expectations are too high there?
Well, you know, like some of the industrials, I think what semis have is a long-term dream, right? If you thought a year or two ago, semis grew GDP plus a couple percent, with all the compute that's required from AI, maybe you now think it's GDP plus 5 or 6. I think select industrials will benefit from electrification, decarbonization, other investment. And so if you thought they were GDP plus a couple, maybe they're also GDP plus 5 or 6. So if you believe in that long-term dream, then you can own them. For me, I think we're very early on in the AI semis trade. I think you know that I was the one who mentioned it to you at first on air, way before this first earnings report a year ago. So I'm bullish that we're in the early phases of this deployment. I think there's 8 or 9 semiconductor companies that are likely to benefit. And if I'm an investor, I want exposure on a 3, 5, or 10-year view. Everyone wants the time when to get out for the 30% correction they see as inevitable. But I think as long as gross margins are expanding, I want to own the semis. I think the trickier part are the industrial exposed semis, ADI, Texan, Microchip, et cetera, because they all guided down, stock didn't go down that much, but they have high inventory and their margins aren't going to expand for the next couple of quarters. So I'm always going to play that, you know, relative achievability game around gross margins when it comes to the chips.
Adam, is energy outright cheap or just relatively so?
So Wilfred, look, to me, it's also a great portfolio strategy to own energy. It's not super correlated to the AI, you know, mania. My bull case has really been the same for the last 3 years. And so maybe I'm getting to be a broken record, but to me, I don't see how the installed base of vehicles that are gas guzzling won't require a lot more oil to be produced than is currently being produced. Meaning, I know demand will exceed supply at some point. It's always hard in a 6-month view. You've got like a 19 variable problem with strategic reserves in OPEC and Venezuela and China and Russia. There's all kinds of variables that are really impossible for at least me to figure out in a 6-month view. But if the installed base of vehicles are such a high percentage of them need gas, probably peak oil demand 6-7 years from now needs 107 million barrels. We produce 101 with today's CapEx. We're going to be short. And so do I want to own cheap commodities with low expectation, low valuation that most people don't like, but I think demand's going to exceed supply? Yeah, damn straight I do.
What would make you less bullish on the overall equity market right now?
I think the 3 biggest risks there are, 1, a slowdown in the U.S. consumer, right? I mean, that's cheap to say, but I was a little worried when Discover reported a little squishiness, but then they got bought, right? But you got to follow the 90-day credit card delinquencies, the consumer confidence, the retail sales. Does the low-end slowdown creep up to sort of the average consumer, et cetera, you know, wages, jobs? So I think 1 is the U.S. consumer. 2 is, what are the U.S. companies that I follow telling me about China demand? Because I think there's a general, I don't want to say complacency, it's just hard to know, but there's a general sense that China could bottom and improve. And so to the extent that any earnings estimates some of them are in industrials, Sarah. To the extent they embed a China rebound, that could be disappointing if you don't get better China demand. And I think the third thing is something around the Fed balance sheet, quantitative tightening, the supply that's coming on the bond market. I think those consumer China and sort of liquidity, quantitative tightening are probably the three biggest risks, that I think about. I think the bull thesis is still in control, which is gross margins are expanding, and the Fed's going to likely at some point be accommodative on the front end, and I think earnings are growing. I think the bull case is still in control, but those are the biggest risks I see right now, bigger picture.
Yeah, China's a whole can of worms. It has lagged in this first quarter despite the global world equity performance. Adam, we'll talk about that next time. Thank you. Adam Parker.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too.
All right.
Wilf, we're going to see you this afternoon.
Yeah, indeed. On the exchange, back again in July.
It's been great having you this week.
In July.
In July.
Wait till July. This is fun.
Our Wilfred Frost.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
As we go to break, Sam Bankman-Fried on the stand right now. His sentencing hearing underway in New York, facing up to 110 years behind bars. We'll get back to the courthouse as Money Mover starts next.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to Money Movers. I'm Sarah Eisen with Carl Quintanilla, live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Today, Waller says no rush on rate cuts and a bull call into 2025. Fidelity's head of macro, Jurrien Timmer, is coming up.
Plus, the sentencing of former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried's underway. The latest from the courthouse this hour.
Later, Marissa Mayer back, the former Yahoo CEO, coming up on her new startup and Google's AI issues in just a bit.
Closing out the quarter on a flat note for now. Dow's up just a couple of points. S&P 52, 54. Of course, you're looking at 10% gains quarter to date as we Look at the best Q1 since 19 and one of the top 15 or so going all the way back to the 1920s.
10% higher for the S&P 500. I think that the surprise is what the surprise was last year, which was the economy is on better footing than people expected, and the Fed hasn't done anything really to dissuade the market away from pricing in rate cuts this year. Even with Fed Governor Waller last night, everyone's talking about it, saying he's in no rush to cut rates, and the economic data has been good. Didn't really firmly talk it back in terms of the message, and that's how the bond market's reacting. CNBC senior markets commentator Mike Santoli, do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree that if you looked at it side by side, okay, a week ago, Powell said, we're probably going to cut rates. We're not really ready to. We'd like a couple more months of data. They have to come through okay on inflation for us to be ready to actually ease. It's not that different from what Waller said, even though the intent of Waller seemed to be give the market a moment to stop and think. We also knew there were 2 dots of 2 committee members who saw no cuts this year. We knew that a week ago, and 2 more that's only 1, right? So in other words, you knew there was a skew within the committee toward people who feel like we don't have to move. Good news is, hasn't really been a Fed-driven market directly because the economy is held up as well as it has. So you could sort of deal with not getting what you thought you wanted on rates because you're getting it on nominal growth being good, earnings coming back, earnings broadening out. That all works. It reminds me of almost 180 degrees reverse from the prior cycle in the 2010s after the financial crisis, where we always thought they were going to normalize rates higher. The market over-anticipated it constantly. We always thought inflation was going to pick up. It didn't happen. We always thought growth was going to be stronger. It never really was. It was muddled through, and so you waited and waited and waited, and it was fine because the Fed was able to just hang in there and be status quo.
It's like those charts of historic expectations just going up and up and up and never happened.
Yeah.
That said, we have debated all year long with people who said the rally's dependent on cuts. So has that been definitively answered, that the market would rather have strength?
I think it would rather have strength. I think there is a case to be made that at some point you're going to run out of maybe economic resilience. And so if you really think that there's a risk to waiting for cuts, it's that you think that the economic strength has been either a head fake or that it's kind of running out of fuel. Look, the labor market softening has been very benign up to this point, but we're not that far from unemployment rate levels where you would start to question that.
Some people still worry about a 4 handle, right?
Exactly. And so I think that, that's why you have to monitor the patient's vital signs along the way. You can't just take for granted that we can just stay at 5 3/8 on Fed funds and be fine.
But the other surprise, I think, has been the fact that AI still continues to dazzle investors, and just how much more is in that in terms of expectations.
Exactly. I mean, look, that's every bull market, in addition to the economy being good and earnings coming back, it kind of needs the big picture story where it's almost like, we're betting on the future and we're going to find new companies to do it with. And what's interesting to me now is I was trying to tote it up yesterday. If you're an S&P 500 index fund investor, like 15 cents of every dollar is AI right now, right? If you add up NVIDIA and Microsoft and Broadcom and AMD and go down the list of stocks that trade based on AI, green or red, it's 15% of the S&P 500. And so that's either good or bad. That either means you get it if you just invest in this broad stock market, or it means the market's overextended the bet in that direction.
Mike, we'll talk in a little bit. Good start. Mike Santoli. Is this rally sustainable? Our next guest says based on the 4-year presidential cycle, this bull market should continue at least into 25. Joining us this morning, Fidelity Investments Director of Global Macro, Jurrien Timmer. Jurrien, great to see you. Thanks for the time today.
Good morning.
A lot of people looking at analogs of prior election years and are surprised at the way seasonality has been stronger at the start. What do you make of it?
Yes, well, usually years 3 and 4 in a presidential cycle are the strongest years, and years 1 and 2 are below average. But what's interesting is that when the midterm year is down, which it was in this case, 2022, the recovery pattern is very strong, and we're actually following that pattern very, very closely. So, we obviously are on a good run here. Even the soldiers are following the generals, which is very heartening to see that the market is resilient enough that even as some of the Mag 7 are starting to fray, that the bullish broadening is sort of taking over. And in a previous segment, you were talking about earnings or nominal growth versus interest rates, and it's interesting, when you think about the math of a discounted cash flow model, when earnings are weak, changes in the discount rate and the cost of capital are very important, and this is why last year the market was so obsessed with what the Fed was going to do and when. But now that earnings are coming through, the market is less obsessed with that, and that's also a very good, it's a very good thing to see that the market is resilient because the earnings side is coming through.
That is such an important point. And I was going to ask you, of the three buckets that some argue have led to this rally so far, resilient earnings, hopes for AI, hopes for rate cuts, are profits the most important one?
They are, and fourth quarter earnings season was very pivotal. Earnings grew 8% year over year, and the forward earnings estimate, the consensus estimate, is now growing at 10% year over year. And that relieves the pressure on the Fed to have to pivot a lot. And even if the Fed doesn't pivot at all, at least not this year, the market is not hanging on that. But just the fact that the Fed is no longer tightening and at least is sort of biased to ease at some point, even if it's less than the 3 rate cuts that are signaled by the Fed, earnings are doing the heavy lifting now, and that allows the baton to be passed from the valuation phase of this bull market to the earnings phase. And valuations, no matter how you slice it, are pretty rich, right? 21 times forward, 23 times trailing. The market.
All right, we got Apple continuing to sell off, so Apple's continuing to sell off. SPY is having a hard time breaking through the pre-market high here, so we might have a pullback. Not sure. Reddit, we have 418 shorts. That's still going on. It's going good so far. Might sell off at the end of the day. We don't know. We'll see.
Or so, and how the equity market outperformance has really been even more impressive given what's happened on the bond side. What is your forecast for what happens to treasuries from here and whether it will impact stocks?
I think treasuries are sort of in a coupon clipping phase, if you will. So I don't really see a lot of gains for bonds, especially if the Fed is not pivoting as much, and especially given the resilience of the economic cycle. So I don't really see yields going below 4. 4.25 is about fair value, according to my math. We still have a term premium sort of issue that in an era of fiscal dominance and large deficits, does it make sense for the term premium to be 0 to negative, which is where it is right now? And the answer is probably not. It probably should be positive. So I do think there's more upside to yields than downside, but yields are high enough and the duration is low enough on those yields that even if yields go to 4.5 or even 5%, a bond investor is okay as long as the expectations are not there that you're going to get much more than just the coupon. But real rates are positive, so investors are getting paid to own bonds again.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch S&P yesterday reaffirm AA plus for the U.S. with the outlook stable, Jurrien. Appreciate it. What an interesting quarter it's been. Look forward to talking again soon. Jurrien Timmer.
Thank you.
By the way, don't miss our live coverage of maybe the most important number tomorrow. That's PCE. Data comes, and then we'll be live 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time on CNBC.com.
Meantime, Sam Bankman-Fried sentencing underway right now with the FTX founder on the stand as we speak. Our Kate Rooney's outside the courthouse in downtown Manhattan with the very latest. Kate.
Hey, Sarah. Sam Bankman-Fried just wrapped up on the stand. We heard a very different tone from the defendant here. Contrite, he was apologetic. He's up there in his beige prison suit. This is really the first time we've heard him sound like this and say, I'm sorry. And he's really playing to the judge here. This is a last effort to get some leniency when it comes to what amounts to a maximum sentence of 110 years. A couple of things we heard up there, Sarah, talked about customers being deprived of some of the gains in cryptocurrency. Is talking a lot about his colleagues at the time and multiple people who testified against him. Caroline Ellison, his former girlfriend and the head of Alameda, he got a little bit choked up when he was talking about her. Gary and Nishad as well, 3 of his top lieutenants there. He said they built something really beautiful and I threw that all away. He said it haunts me every day. He said he made a series of selfish decisions and is getting into some of the details about the bankruptcy, but is essentially saying there's He's sorry about things he should have done. It's a very different tone, Sarah, than really what we had heard all throughout his criminal trial, where he was a little more defiant, shifted blame. That's not the case today in really what is an 11th hour pitch to the judge. He also is making the case that customers in the end are going to be paid back, and that's really what the defense has been leaning on today. The idea that a lot of the losses have been recouped through the bankruptcy process. The prosecution, the government side, just got up there to make their case. We also heard from Sam Bankman-Fried's legal team. They talked about him being in the prime of his life. They said, don't deny him the chance to have a family, to live a life, and really making an emotional pitch to the judge, talking about really how young he is. And we're moving forward here, guys, and we do expect to get a sentencing at some point today. Back over to you.
How old is he now?
He's 30. He was 29 when all of this happened. Very early 30s, maybe 30 or 31.
Yeah.
So you compare that, to Bernie Madoff, who was in his 70s, when there's been a lot of comparisons, but that's something that they're 32. So they're really leaning on that and his age and saying, he's made mistakes, but also the whole deterrence idea of they want a long enough sentence, at least the prosecution does, so that he doesn't commit more crimes. They're saying this is enough of a deterrence. He spent time in jail. He's not going to come back and be a repeat offender. That's been a topic of discussion today as well.
Is there much discussion, Kate, about charges that actually were not pursued? Some of the other ancillary allegations regarding influence in election peddling, so forth?
Yeah, the campaign finance did not end up being a separate trial, although we heard a lot of evidence in that within the criminal trial. That was mentioned in the defense's sentencing memo, and they said that amounted to one of the largest campaign finance violations ever. So that has been brought up in the context of his greed and spending, as the prosecution called it. They said he was spending hundreds of millions of dollars to gain influence in Washington. So they've used it more to speak to his character, speak to his motives. But it's come up time and again, although it was not a separate trial. It's being incorporated into the sentencing.
So what now? When do we just expect this decision?
We are hearing now from the government side, and it's really moving along. I mean, it could be in the next couple of hours here, but the judge is going to make a decision. We've heard from victims as well, sort of certain testimonies on both sides, looking for more leniency, really on both sides, and that's something that could take hours. That's done with. We're now hearing from the prosecution. I'm told it's really moving rather quickly, so we do expect to get some sort of sentencing within the next couple hours here, but we'll see, guys. I'll be running in and out, and we'll bring any news as we get it.
As you do so well, Kate, thank you so much. Kate Rooney at the sentencing here in New York City. When we come back, a U.S. CEO is meeting with Chinese President Xi this week as China tries to boost confidence in its economy. Former U.S. Ambassador to China Gary Locke's going to be with us next.
Plus, we'll get to Home Depot's $18 billion acquisition. More money movers when we come right back.
Indeed.com.
Home Depot announcing its biggest acquisition ever this morning, buying SRS Distribution in an $18.25 billion deal, financing it through a combination of cash on hand and debt. Home Depot hoping that acquisition drives more sales from professionals like contractors and roofers as the at-home do-it-yourself projects continue to slow post-pandemic. Stock today's down about 1%, but really not that far, Sarah, from highs that were last set in early 22.
Yeah, not a huge reaction. I mean, down only 1% or so after such a big acquisition. Let's turn to China. Xi Jinping meeting with a large group of U.S. CEOs yesterday, promising some better bilateral relations between the two largest economies. Former U.S. Ambassador to China, Gary Locke, joins us now to weigh in. Mr. Ambassador, it's great to have you back on. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What was your take on what we saw and what we know about this meeting?
Well, obviously, China wants more foreign direct investment to help stimulate their economy. They're coming off of a really tough set of years imposed by COVID and all the trade restrictions and the trade wars around the world. But despite those tit-for-tat retaliatory restrictions on foreign companies doing business in China in retaliation against Western measures against Chinese companies, for many sectors, there are still great opportunities for business because there's still a high demand for U.S. products and services, which are highly valued among the Chinese consumers and Chinese businesses.
But is it a safe and fruitful environment for American businesses to invest in right now?
Well, obviously, any foreign company doing business in China, especially in these tough geopolitical times, have to be very, very careful. Many sectors have been limited, and so the opportunities for doing business and growth have been curtailed, but there are still others, especially in the consumer side, and even in some of the high-tech areas where China needs those Western products. China is still trying to become a lot more self-sufficient, especially, for instance, in technology, making their own chips. But until they achieve that self-sufficiency, they're still going to need American products. And that's why I think American companies and CEOs are there. Certain sectors still have opportunities there.
Mr. Ambassador, interesting tweet from Ambassador Emmanuel to Japan, who writes the PRC's version of a charm offensive, wooing U.S. executives with lavish dinners and sweet words of encouragement while greenlighting cyber attacks on U.S. companies and utilities. Not often charming, frequently offensive. I wonder if you blame some of these CEOs for attending this dinner.
Well, obviously, they have to make that calculation. What's in the best interest of their employees, their company, their shareholders, but they need to be very, very careful. It's not just cyber attacks against U.S. companies here in America, but the restrictions, the interference that the Chinese government will place and utilize even within China on these American and foreign companies. What's really also interesting to note is the growth of foreign private companies in China. Their profits have soared dramatically, and even the growth of Chinese private companies have really done well and have grown over the last year compared to the state government, the state-owned enterprises.
Secretary Yellen was at a factory, a Georgia solar company yesterday, and she warned that she is worried about dumping global spillover, she says, from excess capacity that we are seeing in China, distorting global prices, basically what has happened with other commodities before in solar and other green technologies. She's going to China next week. How will this be received there, that message?
The message is certainly a very stern one from America, and it's one that we are very, very concerned about, and especially as China tries to avoid some of the tariffs imposed by the United States on products like solar components by having much of those products assembled, let's say in Vietnam, to try to go around the so-called made in China label that are then subject to those tariffs. And many companies in the United States have also filed actions against those Chinese entities doing business or distributing and manufacturing and assembling in other countries. And the Commerce Department is really taking a hard look at that.
So, I mean, this is why I would think that, in part, American CEOs are nervous and skittish around investing more and getting closer to China. It feels like the government is becoming more confrontational, and we don't know if President Trump gets reelected, that could get even worse. And at the same time, there are gestures to the business community. It feels a little bit in conflict.
Well, again, there are in certain sectors, there's a high demand and great value for American products. And many foreign companies have curtailed their operations in China, are pulling back because of those government restrictions. But in many consumer areas where the Made in America is highly valued and in great demand by individual consumers. And so there's an opportunity for Western companies to do business in China, but they have to be very, very careful.
Meantime, the outward migration of foreign direct investments, we just had the CEO of UPS on our air this week who says they're already changing their network to serve customers in Vietnam and the Philippines and Indonesia and Mexico. So that train's already moving on the private front.
Very much so, and given the lessons learned from the pandemic, when there was we saw so many critical supplies coming from China being curtailed because production was shut down because of the pandemic. Many companies are now saying we need to diversify our supply chain. We can't be so reliant on products coming from China. We need to make sure they come from many other parts of the world, which then also creates the need for building up that transportation supply chain. Companies like UPS or FedEx and others having to develop their networks around the world.
It's complicated. Gary Locke, appreciate you joining us. Just help go through it. Gary Locke, former U.S. ambassador to China.
Meantime, former Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer is coming up later on this hour. How her new startup is taking advantage of Wall Street's enthusiasm on AI.
Plus, watching Estee Lauder shares today, Bank of America goes to buy, bullish on profitability recovery for the company, and also the new product pipeline. Shares are up more than 5.5% this morning. Stay with us.
Good luck, traders!
European markets set to close in a moment, mostly higher on this session. Look at the German DAX, continues to make new highs. The Stock 600 index pulls back slightly after hitting another all-time high. The travel sector is leading, while financial services the biggest loser of the day. In terms of data, GDP numbers confirming the UK economy fell into recession in 2023 with a 0.3% contraction in the final quarter. And that was the second negative quarter in a row. That's a technical recession. On the back of that news, Bank of England interest rate setter Jonathan Haskell telling the FT rate cuts should be a long way off. In Asia, the Nikkei, which has been on a tear, setting new record highs, fell more than 1%, with investors cautious about possible currency intervention on watch there after the Japanese yen fell to a 34-month low. But the MSCI World Index, Carl, at a record high. This was not just about the U.S., not just a Japan story, but Europe was part of the story as well. Everybody loves global synchronized easing, and that's where central bankers are hinting at right now.
Rick Reeder with a great thread yesterday, just looking at the banks that have already cut. Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and a few others, which big implications for EM over there.
Right, and then in the developed world, we got the first one with Switzerland last week. So more on the way.
Yeah. Meantime, tight range, 10 points on the S&P this morning. Let's get post to post with Bob Pisani. Hey, Bob.
Still up about 5 points to end an extraordinary quarter, an extraordinary 5 months. Just want to give you some news items here. Home Depot this morning, I got a lot of questions, people saying they're announcing they're suspending their buyback. What is that all about? There's a very particular story about them. They're buying SRS Distribution. They're a network of roofing and building supply distributors. Makes sense for them. But the suspension of the buybacks is about maintaining the company's credit rating around buying this. So Fitch put out a statement affirming their credit rating, but noted that the acquisition was going to increase the adjusted debt to EBITDA ratio, which is very important here, to 2.7 versus the average they're looking for 2 times. So instead of buying back stock, what they're going to do is they're going to use the free cash flow to pay down the debt so that they can get back to their 2 times target that they've had for a long time. So this is a very particular story. It's not about, oh, the buybacks are slowing down. We are so far on track for a potentially record year for buybacks on the S&P 500. We might hit $1 trillion. So just bear that in mind. So we're ending the quarter with a lot of momentum, and not tech. Tech's actually slowed down. I keep talking about these little energy stocks here. Remember, we went 73 to 82 on oil in a few months. So Marathon Oil and the E&P companies are all up 15, 17, 18%. In the Dow, the real story is Disney's comeback. Ever since, when was their earnings report? It was like the first week of February. They just never looked back. It was $90 in January. Look at that. This is Walt Disney. 90 to 122. You're talking, what, 34, 5, 6% gain for the quarter? That's really amazing. The other big group has been financials, and it's not banks. The one exception, and we talked about this yesterday, I think Sarah was talking about it as well, is Citigroup, of course. This is because Jane Fraser's efforts at restructuring have been paying off. That stock's been straight up as well. But the real winners in the financial group have been, financials have been the insurance companies. And this is for a couple of reasons. Hartford's just been on fire. Number one, we had strong pricing in almost every category, commercial, property, casualty, for example. And then we had lower interest rates starting in November. That really helped all the insurance companies. So these companies have taken off, I don't know how much, probably 25% so far this quarter move on insurance companies. So my point is, very strong momentum is helping us. The advanced decline line in the S&P 500 has been strong. 70% of the stocks in the S&P are up in the quarter. 70%. That's a very good number. So you want that, and that's a good sign. People keep saying, oh, we have to take a break. We're up 10% in the quarter, of course. Well, when you have this kind of momentum, be careful about trying to do a lot of market timing. Generally, you're actually higher 6 months later. Take a look at my Trader Talk today, tradertalk.cnbc.com, for a story about why we may not necessarily be due for an imminent pause. Guys, back to you.
All right, Bob. Thanks. Bob Pisani. Let's get a news update as well this morning with Silvana Henao. Oh, Silvana.
Hey, Carl, good morning. A judge is hearing arguments today seeking to dismiss Donald Trump's election subversion case in Georgia. Trump's legal team is calling for the dismissal by claiming the former president's political speech should be protected by the First Amendment. This is the first hearing in the case since defense lawyers tried to get Fani Willis removed from the case over allegations of an improper relationship with the special prosecutor. Russia vetoed a United Nations resolution today that would have renewed monitoring of sanctions against North Korea over its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles programs. The veto comes as U.S. claims intelligence shows North Korea has transferred weapons to Russia, which Moscow has used in its war with Ukraine. And the iconic Life magazine is getting a relaunch. Venture capitalist Josh Kushner announced today he and his wife Carly Kloss will bring Life back to regular print and digital distribution. The deal with Barry Diller's company is being conducted through Bedford Media, the startup that Kloss leads. The price was not disclosed, Sarah.
Thank you very much. It's old is new again.
Yeah.
Silvana. Former Yahoo CEO and Google executive Marissa Mayer joins us next with a new startup and her take on Alphabet's AI issues. Money Movers, back in a moment.
Watch Palantir today. Manes Crespi downgrades the stock to sell, saying it's time to get, quote, back to reality with the valuation now hard to justify. Price target goes down to 20, I think, shares. You just on the heels of your amazing interview with Karp a few weeks ago.
It's been a winner, and it's still up about 200% over the last 12 months, burning those short sellers.
Yes, and their habits, so to speak.
Alex Karp was happy to do.
Meantime, a new AI-powered app is on the market that's time for photo sharing. Sunshine, a new startup helmed by former Yahoo chief Marissa Mayer. Deirdre Bosa joins us this morning, today's Tech Check, with a very special guest. Hey, Dee.
Hey, good morning, Carl. That's right. We have Marissa Mayer herself. Welcome to One Market. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Congrats on the launch, which was earlier this week. I want to start with a very simple question. Why photo sharing? You said that it's broken right now. How's it broken? What are you trying to fix?
I think photo sharing is broken because when you see someone take a photo, you might feel like, hey, I need to pull out my phone and take it too, or remind them to give it to you. And the thing is, you're there. It should be easy and fluid to be able to move photos around. And right now, it's just not. If you think about the number of times that you've taken multiples of a shot or pulled your phone out. And so what we really wanted to do was take AI, apply it so you get good photo curation, get easy sharing. We have something in the app called Magic Mode where we decide which photos are share worthy and upload the ones that we think will be interesting to the group of people who were there. And we really base all of this around a time and a place. So if you're in that time and a place, you're part of that album, the photos get shared really seamlessly.
Right. You have an extensive history in AI. I know you studied it at Stanford, and then you went on to Google and were focused on AI long before anyone was talking about it. This is a real moment, especially for generative AI. A lot of the startups that we talk about on a daily basis, they're trying to do very complex things, like build the large language model, or for example, build software on top of GPUs. You're using it for a lot more simple stuff. Photos is one. You're also doing something with contacts and birthdays. What is the strategy? Why are you focusing on some of these more like mundane tasks using AI?
Sure. Well, we have all the respect in the world for those really cutting-edge applications. But we think that AI is also at a moment where it can help in everyday tasks. And when you think about simple things that save time, finding someone's contact, making it easier to share a photo or having that happen automatically, picking the right photo. Those are all things where, yes, if we can do global facial recognition, we can figure out which photo has the best expression and eyes open really easily too. And so we want to take AI, apply to those things because it's good at it. But we also think that it really makes AI very relatable in that moment. It's something that people can feel, they can understand how it helps them, and it demystifies AI a bit.
Right, and a lot of the people I talk to here, they talk about this future vision that generative AI, it started with ChatGPT and chatbots, but it's going to be more than that. We're still waiting for that moment, but the vision is like an AI assistant or an AI tutor for every child. When do we get there, and does Sunshine sort of play into that idea? And how does that work? Is it going to be through our phone? Is it going to be through a different device?
Sure. Well, I think there's a few different things that are happening. Because one, there's the generative AI piece, like how does the AI express itself, speak on your behalf, act on your behalf, draw on your behalf. And then there's all the personal information. And I will say that's where Sunshine is really focused. We're focused on how do we take the personal information, make sense of it? Pulling signatures and contacts out of your email and making them useful to you. Finding the great photo that you should have sent your friend and making sure that you do and giving you suggestions and reminders. And so I think in the future what we're going to see is those pieces that understand personal information really meet up with that expressiveness of being able to act or write or draw on your behalf. And that's really when I think AI is going to become even more powerful than it already is, which is it's already an impressive moment. But I think once we'll start to see the types of agents and assistants you're talking about when we see those two pieces meet.
You've obviously worked for some of the biggest tech companies in the world, and now you're starting from the ground up as a startup. But when we talk about being that assistant, having access to our lives, our data, no one has more of that than, say, a Google. So how do you compete with some of these large tech giants that have been around for decades and have access to all of this data?
Sure. Well, I think that it starts with a lot of focus. What are the areas where you think you can add a lot of value? And you're not going to be able to necessarily compete for the amount of data, but there are different ways of accessing it. So, for example, our Contacts app, we're allowed to OAuth into, with the user's permission, into Gmail. We can also do it with Yahoo and Outlook and other emails. So you can get access to that data with the user's permission, and that's really what we focus on. And then it's really about what's the core problem you're trying to solve for the user, and how do you build a solution that really makes it easy, time-saving, and simple.
Right. Now, before we start talking on camera, we were talking about, why not work on a large language model? Why not work on that sort of foundational AI? And you said barrier to entry, right? And we're certainly seeing that. Like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're making these huge investments. They have the compute power, they have the billions of dollars in capital to lead the next generation of AI. I wonder if you agree with that, if you think that there's space for startups versus these colossal giants.
I think there definitely is a barrier to entry, and LLMs are very interesting, but I also think that there's an advantage of being a startup where you get to look at all the different models being developed by the tech giants who are making those investments. And there's, generally speaking, APIs that allow you to access the right model for the right task. And being able to find that the right offering, the right API, and the right model for things really matters.
Last question for you. There's been a lot of talk about Google's placement in this Gen AI race. They started with the technology, the talent, and there's sort of this thinking, at least in the markets, that maybe they're playing catch up now. Where do you think they are, Google? How do they get back ahead? Are they falling behind even?
Well, obviously, I have a lot of affection and respect for Google. And I think in AI, it's very clear they have an amazing roster of talent. And, for a lot of us, they have a lot of our personal information. So when we talk about that personal information, understanding it, meeting up with the ability to generate tasks and actions through generative AI, I think that Google is in a really advantaged position, both because of the talent and because of the data that they have for people that they can put to use.
Right, so don't count them out, which I don't think anyone is, but there's a lot of chatter in the markets. Marissa, thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Carl and Sarah, I'm going to toss it back over to you at the end. Nice to see you.
Great stuff, Dee. Thank you. That's our Deirdre Bosa this morning. Watch Walgreens today narrowing its profit outlook. The CEO sat down with us a moment ago. We'll get some sound from that interview in a moment.
we await official confirmation of former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried's sentencing today, let's bring in partner at law firm Mintz and Gold, Ira Sorkin, formerly Bernie Madoff's attorney. What do you expect, Ira, to happen today? Oh, you know what? We lost the guest, but I think we can confirm now that he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. This in a New York courtroom. Working on getting our Kate Rooney there, but obviously this is unfolding as we speak. There were questions as to how much.
Yo, Sam Bankman got 25 years. 25 years for the crypto thing.
Bernie Madoff got 150 years. 20 years, I think, was around expectation. 25 years, around what we were hearing from some lawyers, including Jacob Frankel last hour.
Jacob Frankel was thinking in 25 to 30. There was a flash head a moment ago from Reuters that said 20. It's now been corrected to 25, but it does come on the heels of a statement from Bankman-Fried in which he said he made a series of, quote, selfish decisions while leading FTX, quote, threw it all away. It haunts me every day. And at one point, Sarah reportedly said that the useful part of his life is now over.
And just as a reminder, last year, the jury found him guilty of stealing billions of dollars from investors, FTX customers, defrauding investors.
Yo, 25 years for Bankman-Fried. 25 years.
Today was the day where the judge
Damn.
handed down the sentencing. And as Kate Rooney said in the last hour, unusual to see him jumpsuit from jail, sounding very different, saying he's sorry. I think our Kate Rooney is here with us now, who can tell us more about this 25-year sentence. Kate.
Yep. Hey, Sarah. Yeah, so we just got out of the courtroom. 25 years plus 3 years of a supervised release. Judge Kaplan going through his reasoning behind a lot of that. And among the things he talked about was Sam Bankman-Fried's perceived lying on the stand. He talked about him knowingly committing these crimes, going up and brazenly lying on the stand. That did factor into this. He did talk about some of what the government recommended and said that was about 40 or 50 years. He said that was overkill, essentially. He said that was not necessary in terms of deterrence. He talked as well about, hold on, Sarah, sorry, I'm getting my notes here. Okay, he talked about some of the messages that Bankman-Fried had sent to reporters at the time, and the F regulators line came up. He said that showed essentially that he was gambling here, that he had this expected value of the outcomes of running this business. And he said the error here was miscalculating the risk that Sam Bankman-Fried would get caught. He said he knew what he was doing. He was gambling for this expected value, and that was really his worldview. As the judge said, it's his nature. He also went on to talk about some of his mistakes, his pithy expressions throughout all of the criminal trial, and said in his 30 years on the stand, he had not seen a performance like it in terms of the way he was hair splitting. He was evading certain questions. That also factored into the sentencing. And he said, he knew it was wrong. He really was betting that he wasn't going to get caught. He went on to talk about the risk that Sam Bankman-Fried would do this again. He said he had this PR strategy, talked about really him going out and talking to the press and a lot of reporters. He said that demonstrates that he knows how to do this and that the will is there to do this again. And that was something he said, it's not a trivial risk that he would commit a similar crime, and that played into the sentencing there. Sarah, that is really the gist of it, the crux of it. He said that he doesn't want him to commit these crimes again. But again, as I mentioned, in 30 years, he had never seen the performance like that, which for Judge Kaplan, a quite experienced judge, really says a lot. But Sam Bankman-Fried sentenced to 25 years, Sarah. That's the latest.
Thank you very much, Kate Rooney. Really appreciate all that color and the commentary. What a fall from grace from the once most famous crypto entrepreneur and king, Sam Bankman-Fried, now sentenced to 25 years in prison for massive fraud. Let's bring back in a partner in law firm Mintz and Gold, Ira Sorkin, formerly Bernie Madoff's attorney. What's your reaction to the number, Ira?
Well, it doesn't surprise me in the least, because there are two factors that I think Judge Kaplan focused on. One, it's not likely that the defendant, Bankman-Fried, is ever going to do this again. The factor of, he's the possibility that he's going to be a recidivist is forget about it. I think the two factors that weighed in with respect to the judge's decision is deterrence and the fact that I had said earlier to one of your reporters, the perjury that Judge Kaplan found that Bankman-Fried committed when he testified at trial. The whole business of cyber, bitcoins, blockchains, and alternative, we'll call it investments, is still up in the air. It's still a very confusing area, and I think that it hasn't been resolved by legislators or the regulators. And I think what Judge Kaplan was referring to, to a very large extent, is the deterrent factor. This is an area that needs to be dealt with, and I think a sentence of 25 years is a significant deterrence.
Ira, do you think the sentence will have an impact on the construction of regulation?
It should, but you know, having been doing this for decades, every time you increase the penalty, the expectation is it's going to have a deterrent effect. In most cases, it hasn't. But I think this is a message that is going to be sent by the regulators, in this case, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, and perhaps the SEC and perhaps the CFTC, and whichever regulator is found to have been enmeshed in this area, it will, I think, have a deterrent factor as to straighten out what the heck this whole world involving bitcoins and blockchains is all about.
Well, the statement from the judge was damning. You know, the prosecutors were asking for 40 to 50 years, Ira. So it's not the 6.5 that the defense was hoping for, but it was somewhere in the middle. I guess it could have been worse.
Well, it could have been worse, but he's a relatively young man. I think Judge Kaplan focused on the fact that he's going to see the light of day. But again, I keep coming back, and forgive me for being redundant, it's deterrence. It's those who are involved in this world of bitcoins, blockchains, cyber, and the like, that a message is being sent to them that the government is going to take a serious look at this type of conduct, and that the penalty is, to use the kids' words, humongous.
Ira, I wonder if you could reflect a bit on big sentence, right? An enormous conviction on fraud and conspiracy, and yet the institutional interest in the business model overall, all around the world, has only blossomed. How do you think those two things coexisted?
Well, it's blossomed because it hasn't been terribly regulated, and people are willing in any involvement that borders on question marks. There is the risk reward, and a sentence of 25 years heightens the risk, but still the reward, the value, the amount of money to be made, people are going to still go ahead and look at the equation. What's my risk and what will be my reward? Has it impacted in the world of insider trading? Has it impacted in the world of Foreign Corrupt Practices Act? Has it impacted in, there are over 4,000 federal crimes. And Congress, over the last number of decades, many decades, has increased the penalty for a lot of these crimes. And yet, the crimes still occur. So the regulators and the legislators have to deal with the deterrent aspect of it, and to send the message out that this is an area that they're going to look very seriously at going forward.
Bernie Ebbers, convicted early 2000s for 25 years, the former CEO of WorldCom. To that point, so you mentioned his age. He's 32 years old. If he serves the full sentence, will be 57 when he gets out. What's the likelihood that he does serve the full sentence? What could happen here?
Oh, he will not have to serve the full 25 years. He will have the opportunity to get out sooner, but certainly he'll have to spend a good portion of that 25 years in prison.
Disney is Sam Friedman got sentenced to 25 years. 25 years in jail for the scam.
Booking that guest, Iris Sorkin, former lawyer for Bernie Madoff, on quite a moment when Sam Bankman-Fried, it wasn't too long ago, where he was coming on CNBC,
speaking for the industry,
speaking at all of the conferences, being hailed as a savior for the industry when he started buying up bankrupt currency firms and Bitcoin firms, and now sentenced to 25 years in prison for massive fraud.
Yeah. Meantime, market, of course, has had other concerns today. The data that we got, whether it's GDP or claims or UMISH, was very constructive, but it's all going to come down to PCE tomorrow.
PCE for February, so the expectation is a 0.3% jump on the month. Why it's important? January was firmer than expected. February was firmer than expected as well, or firmer than the disinflation trend had been going toward the end of last year. Was it seasonal? Was it not? I think the March numbers will be a little bit more definitive on that point. You mentioned University of Michigan. Good to see, at least for the Fed and those hoping inflation comes down, that the expectations were lower than the prior month in March on both the 1-year inflation expectations and 5 to 10 year.
We'll look for that. Don't forget, numbers out at 8:30, but we'll be live on CNBC.com tomorrow at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time with Morgan and Steve and Rick Santelli, one of the key tentpole pieces of eco data all week long. So have a good long weekend. Let's get to Post 9 and a half.
All right, Carl, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Welcome to the Halftime Report. I'm Scott Wapner, front and center this hour. Stocks on a streak. The S&P 500 off now to its best start to a year since 2019. And the investment committee is here today to debate how much more this rally can go as a new quarter gets set to begin. Joining me for the hour today, Josh Brown, Shannon Saccocia, Jim Lebenthal. We will check the markets for you. We're still staying in positive territory across the board on this final trading day of the quarter. I should let you all know, we are going to keep our eyes, of course, on that courthouse in Lower Manhattan, just a few blocks from here as well, for any new developments that come from there. But let's begin by talking about the market. So, Josh, we are best start to the year since 19. Bespoke says today if the S&P 500 finishes higher today, it will be the second straight quarter of double-digit percentage gains. That hasn't happened in some 12 years. The big question as we enter the new quarter is the rally's momentum running out, or do you feel like it's recharging?
So I think that's a big question, but Judge, I have to differ somewhat and tell you that I actually think the real big question for all of us and for everyone watching is not whether or not the rally will just continue at this pace, which, by spoiler, it won't.
It doesn't have to be at this pace, but nonetheless, whether it continues
well, the petering out part. I think this is the real big question. What are you going to do when we have the first correction of 2024? How are you going to act? What kind of nonsense are you going to be retweeting? What kind of stuff are you going to be linking to? What stats are you going to use to scare yourself and others out of buying that dip? That's my question. And I talk to people, they have no idea what's going on. They say, oh, it's all tech. Oh, is it really? Allow me to share the following. The top 3 performing sectors this year, energy plus 13%. Did you know that? Are you allocated? Communication services plus 13%. Financials plus 12.5%. Let's round up 13%. So a lot of people are making money away from tech. More importantly, from the COVID bottom, the XLE is actually up 375%. The XLK is only up 200%. So no, it's not just tech. And if that's the thing that you've been hearing people say that's kept you out of this market, condolences. What are you going to do when we have that inevitable, what?
Just,
you all right?
Just give me a second. I'm going to go back to Kate Rooney at that courthouse a few blocks from here, who has an update.
I was cooking.
Kate?
Hey, Scott. So Sam Bankman-Fried officially sentenced to 25 years in prison. And we just got out of the courtroom. Some of the color behind the judge's reasoning when it comes to that sentencing, he had his guidelines, which the maximum sentence was 110 years. It was up to his discretion, and some of the reasons why he said he went with 25 years was deterrence in big part. He talked about the essentially PR campaign that Sam Bankman-Fried went on, pitching the media, pitching people, and he said this demonstrates he knows how to do this, and the will is there in terms of doing this again. He said there was a risk this man would be in a position and it's not a trivial risk that he would commit more crimes in the future. He did say that the 40 to 50 years that the government had recommended was too harsh. So 25 years is in the ballpark of what a lot of legal experts were expecting. He did say up there, though, Judge Kaplan said he's been doing this for more than 30 years, said that was one of the most eye-popping performances, as he put it, in terms of Sam Bankman-Fried's ability to evade questions. He was splitting hairs. He was not honest. So the fact that he, according to the judge, perjured himself on the stand did factor into that sentencing. He said he lied up there multiple times. He knew what he did was wrong, and it all went back to his worldview of expected value and gambling. He said he took a chance here in committing this crime and just gambled the wrong way, and he got caught. And that was the judge's argument in terms of why he went with a 25-year sentence. We are awaiting, Scott, the parents, Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried, to leave the courtroom. They've been here throughout the entire criminal trial. We do expect them to be walking out of the courthouse. The next step here is a potential appeal. We do expect the defense team to file an appeal, but you have to wait for sentencing for that to happen. So that is sort of the next step in this saga, but a long road to an appeal, and legal experts I'm talking to say that it's very unlikely in this high profile of a case that they would have a successful appeal.
Kay, we appreciate that. Kay Rooney outside the courthouse, really just a few blocks from here. We'll come back to you, of course, as needed, as we wait for more developments from Lower Manhattan after that sentencing of 25 years for Sam Bankman-Fried. Forgive me for interrupting you, but we needed to get that news out, and we're probably going to have to do that again, so bear with us here. You were cooking, continue to cook.
Last thing I want to say on this topic, the reason I ask, what are you going to do during the inevitable correction, is the following. From 2002 through 2021, you basically had this 20-year period where the average, about half the time, you had that decline that we're talking about. You had a 10% dip in 50% of those years, and the average pullback was about 15%. So worse than just a correction, but not quite a full-blown bear market on average. We might have, look, the worst pullback we've had so far this year was 1.98%. So we haven't even been able to have a 2% dip. The market, quote unquote, bottomed for the year on the third trading day on January 4th. And that's really been it. You got a VIX at 13, and you really haven't been tested. You will be tested. What are you going to do when that moment comes? Ask yourself now and answer it and write it down if necessary. But you will be challenged. I don't think it's going to be the same pace, the same momentum all the way through 2024. It would be historically very unlikely.
The question, Shan, to Josh's point is when will that challenge, if you want to use that word, happen? And does it happen sooner than we think? Because, you know, you still have a view, as we learned from our Delivering Alpha investor survey, that 2/3 think that we're primed for a pullback, that the market's run too far too fast. We're entering earnings season. Fed remains still somewhat of a wild card in the whole equation as well.
Well, I think there was some expectation, Scott, that we would see some of the potential for this pullback in this period between the end of earnings season and the start of 2Q, right? So we haven't seen that because obviously we've received, I would say, a more dovish tilt from the Fed, and so that created some confidence in terms of the market in where we're expecting to go. I think it's difficult to pin down what would be the catalyst for such a pullback. There might be fatigue, there might be sort of factor rotation, there might be some changes idiosyncratic to...
Need to go back to Kate Rooney in Lower Manhattan. Kate?
Any chance for an appeal? Is that the next step here?
No, you guys got to go back.
Any comment on an appeal? On the sentencing? Anything to say to customers and victims here?
Lock them up for way more time.
Any comment on the bankruptcy lawsuit against you guys here? On the clawback? Anything to say to FTX customers?
Get our picture. We then ask that you respect us.
What are you going through now?
What happens to your son? You're an attorney.
What is your legal advice as an attorney here? What he would do?
I'm not making.
How is it? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? Just your feelings. Has it been? Do you think that this trial
has this been a fair trial?
Sorry, they were saying put the stick mic close.
Okay.
They got it.
Guys, you dropped your...
They went off.
Oh, hi guys, sorry. Hi guys, we just saw Sam Bankman-Fried's parents leave the courthouse. They're walking down here on Ward Street in Lower Manhattan. No comment from the parents. Joseph Bankman is a lawyer himself. Both of the parents have law degrees and were legal scholars. They did not have a comment. They paused and said, take our picture, but please respect our space here. Clearly emotional, looking at the cameras and taking a moment, but they're walking away, the two of them, under an umbrella. It's raining, as you can see here in Lower Manhattan. Their son has just been sentenced to 25 years in prison. We do expect some sort of appeal, but they've been here the entire time throughout this criminal trial and the sentencing. Now, we'll see in terms of where he is sent to prison. It could end up being on the West Coast. His parents are based right on the Stanford campus. But that's the latest, guys. They're headed out here. We're waiting for any sort of press conference or updates outside of the courtroom. But that's the very latest. We'll keep you updated.
You can probably give us some more color as well, Kate, on the plea that Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, including his mother, had made to the judge, hoping for some level of leniency here too.
His mother wrote a letter and really was trying to get some leniency from the judge, saying that Bankman-Fried was a precocious child, talked about some of his personality quirks, but that really at his core that he was a good kid and that he did not mean to do harm. You can understand as a mother where that's coming from. She really was making a plea to the judge to have some leniency, and that's really what we heard from the defense team. They talked about his moral compass. The defense team got up there and said, as an example, that his brother had told the defense team he's not the type of guy that would give you a hug, but he might give you his kidney. So he was on the autistic spectrum, apparently, according to what his defense team said, and that played into it. They said, some of his behavior is not consistent with what you might expect for somebody in this situation. So that was a big theme. But clearly the judge said, he intentionally committed these crimes. He lied on the stand, which really was at the core of some of the sentencing here. And the perjury aspect of this really was important for the judge and ended up seemingly adding years to the sentence.
Yeah. We'll come back to you, as I said, as needed. Kate Rooney, tough day for the parents, obviously, as you clearly could see on their faces as Kate was trying to ask them some questions as they watched their 32-year-old son sentenced to some 25 years in prison for those crimes that Sam Bankman-Fried had committed. Again, Kate Rooney down at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. So, Shan, I'll come back to you. This idea of what is going to work and what may be the catalyst. You were talking about, well, what could it really be that causes the challenge that Josh was mentioning? I mean, we do have earnings season around the corner, by the way. We do have the PCE report tomorrow, even though the market's closed. Those are going to be two potential catalysts for the stocks to move in either direction.
All right, check 1, 2. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I got to go. Got to meet with my accountant and do the business thing. So I appreciate you guys hanging with me today. We are dropping. We have some live puts. Hopefully they print. We're sitting on Reddit puts for April 18th, in addition to 0DTE puts today for 519, which most likely will not hit. But yeah, that's the part of the game here, right? We got to get better. We got to trade in order to get better at what we do. So make sure you guys are tuning in, tapping in with us. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Again, I am Shimano Trader. This is The Spread. We are a live trading show Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But we have been trading a couple of more days a week. So we've been adding Tuesdays and Thursdays as well, just to be on air a little bit more, share a little bit more education. Just want to wish all of you guys a happy Easter. Make sure you guys spend time with friends and family, decompress. Get yourself back together. The market will be back again on Monday. So I want to wish you guys a happy Easter. And if you guys have any questions, hit me up on Shimano Trader at Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Shimano Trader on Instagram. And again, I appreciate you guys being with me today and spending a little bit of your day with me. I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend and, spend some time with friends and family, man. That's what it's all about, okay? So make sure you guys do that. Again, I am Shimano Trader. Thanks for hanging out with us. Please subscribe to the show. If you are still going to be hanging out here at Tradecaster the rest of the day, make sure that you guys check out some of our other traders. We have some wonderful traders on the platform that are eager to show you how to trade and show you how to make money on the internet, on the stock market. We also got some boot camps coming up. We've got a lot of exciting things happening on Tradecaster. So make sure you guys tap in, subscribe to the show, follow our other streamers. And, have a great Easter. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Make sure you always, always, always thank God for the day and, having the things that you have. Nothing wrong with having an ally to your side. Probably the best ally you could have in the world. So, again, I am Shimano Trader. Thanks for hanging out today. Peace. We'll see you guys next week. PCE print tomorrow. Stock market is closed, but we'll see you on Monday. Peace out. Peace.